The 93X Half-Ass Morning Show podcast is sponsored by Standard Heating and Air Conditioning.
Winter's arrived, and with the holidays around the corner, it's the perfect time for Standard Heating's Black Friday Comfort Countdown specials. And right now is the time to become a Smart Club member and get your furnace in top shape before winter comes. Visit standardheating.com today. Comfort you deserve since 1930.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show. 93X.
Music has been taken out of this portion of the Half-Assed Morning Show podcast for licensing reasons.
That's a cool way to start. Playing Night Ranger?
Night Ranger.
I love Night Ranger.
Me too. One of my favorites.
I'll tell you
They're
what.
Still doing it. They're still rocking in America today.
They are. You know, I turned
Sounding
down
good.
an opportunity to see them over the summer, and I still hate myself for it. Turned down an opportunity to go see Night Ranger. I think they were playing at the horse racing track there in the South Metro. What do they call that joint?
Canterbury. They
I think that's the name of the place. Yeah, it was hotter than hell, and I think I just punked out and I wanted to sit in the AC. I turned down Jack Blades and Brad Gillis and Kelly Kagi.
They're gonna be down in Rochester this Thursday.
What's the weather going to be like? If it's too hot, I'll just sit in the air conditioning.
I bet you'll be all right.
Yeah, I think you'll be fine.
You'll be fine.
They're going down to Rochester?
Mm-hmm.
Don't worry about it. You know, Brad Gillis and I, we're tight on LinkedIn, the way I just read his posts.
So cute.
I'll let him know that you feel bad about it.
Jeff Watson used to be in the band. He and Brad Gillis were their what do they call that in the business, Josh?
Like the tandem? The
Tandem duo. They were the guitar duo in Night Ranger. Well, here we effing go. Welcome to what we call here the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show. Today could be a hell of a day for some of us, depending on how easily you allow politics to control your life. It could be a hell of a few days, actually. Who knows how long this process will take. Today is Election Day, and that's probably just about all we have to say about that. None of us are big political noisemakers here on the program. And even a general conversation on the subject these days causes too many folks to just come undone like a little crappy child that needs to be put to bed. So good luck to your candidate. Wake me when it's over.
Yeah, I think so. I've decided that I'll just tomorrow morning, because if you watch the election coverage, it'll drive you nuts. By the way, I was invited to an election coverage party tonight, which I
cut that person out of your life immediately.
Yes.
No, I'm going to that. No, I'm going to try to talk you into that before the show's over.
You want to go?
I already am going.
So they they'll watch all of it, and it's like, oh, this person's got a clear lead. Now, wait a minute. Now, we're hearing from Virginia. Okay, now the other person has a clear lead. And it's kind of back and forth all night. So I'll just wake up tomorrow and ask Alexa and hope she has an answer.
So you're not coming to the election?
No, I'm not going to do it.
Oh,
I'm not going to do that to myself.
But we could hang out some more. We could keep it going.
I love that. Let's keep it going at Night Ranger, Thursday night.
Election parties. Yeah, I'm going to a big one tonight. But I go every election. I go to the same. You guys have probably heard about it.
I think I really threw off a woman when I did the early voting. We were standing in line. I turned to her. She's probably in her 50s or 60s, and I said, "Hey, I've been really busy the last couple of years. I haven't really watched the news. Can you get me up to speed in like 2 minutes?" and she looked at me like it was serious. I was like, "I'm kidding. I'm good."
You said that to a total stranger while in line to vote?
That's awesome.
Why don't you leave people alone? Yeah, what a nightmare politics has become, and hopefully, my only hope is that a great majority of us can handle the results without some kind of goat rodeo nude rioting in the streets.
Yeah, I hope so.
Let's
too.
try to.
I shouldn't. Well, I shouldn't say shouldn't. I have more faith in our fellow man. I think hopefully people have learned over the last decade or whenever it started getting goofy. You don't think so?
No, sadly. I lost faith a while ago.
Did you lose? I'm trying not to lose faith because think about it. I remember you'd see news coverage. They'd be like, they have to. And okay, I'm probably making my own point against me. But you watch news coverage back in the day,
Let's find out if you're making your own point against
I am, because I just remembered something I read.
Keep going.
So you'd watch news coverage and be like, a polling place was blown up in so-and-so awful part of the world, right?
Far away from here.
Yeah, wherever it is. It's like, there's violence, whatever. And I always thought, we're so much better than that.
Right.
We're no matter what, we can have disagreements and we're still one nation. And I've always felt that. I still do, even as crazy as it is. I think if S really hit the fan, we'd come together.
Okay.
If the aliens came down and attacked,
all right,
I think we'd come together, right?
All right.
And so, but then again, I just read that they have to beef up security at certain polling places. So maybe it's not as good as I'd like to think it is. I have high hopes.
Your high hopes and your positive attitude and your continued faith is, I'll tell you what it is, Josh. It's adorable, but it's foolish.
I hope not.
I hope not, too.
Yeah. And you know what? Like you said, to anybody listening, I hope your candidate wins. I do, and I hope you're not taking it to the point where it's going to ruin the next 4 years for you.
Right.
I like how the Olympics, for 2 weeks, everyone kind of comes together. America, we're going to win. And then right after that, you're going to die.
The motto goes from we're going to win to you are going to die.
Yeah.
I missed that dramatic shift in attitude.
Everyone's go America.
I didn't get that vibe.
Yeah, and then right after, all right, screw you.
Yeah, back to hating each other. That's true,
yeah. Should Election Day be a federal holiday? A great majority of us say yes. Like 70% of Americans say, yeah, go ahead, give us a day off for Election Day. 15% of us said no. Who in their right mind turns down a day off?
Right, yeah. I don't really care that much about the fact that the purpose of it. I just want a day off.
That's a mental health issue, I think, to turn down a day off.
Yeah, it's one day every 4 years. I mean, there's
4 years.
There's some stuff like where you're like, really? We get a day off for that? Okay.
Right. There's plenty of that.
Seems pretty important.
There's plenty of that already. Days off that you don't even understand. Why not one every 4 years, as Josh said, that it is pretty important. Who the hell would say no? Hey, look, we're taking a poll with the boys in the warehouse. Who wants a day off on Election Day? Who's the guy that raises his hand and says, hell no? What's wrong with you? I mean, that doesn't make any sense to me. It's like my high school hockey buddy who benched himself. Who in their right mind benches his or herself? One of the greatest things I've ever seen at any sporting event, at any level. Big Phil was my line mate when we were 10th graders, and we came off the ice, and Big Phil turned to the coaches and said, boys, coach, I'm running a little hot out there. My temper's getting the best of me. You're going to have to bench me.
Not quite benching himself, but I guess the big news over the last couple of weeks would be Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson kind of benching himself.
What did he do?
I'm too tired.
Well, that's why they pulled him. That's why he's not the starting QB
that's why
anymore.
Joe Flacco jumped in.
Because he ran for a play, and then he's like, all right, he tapped his, I'm out, I got to take a break. Oh,
yeah.
And then I need a breather. Huge thing, right? Everybody's like, okay, maybe this isn't our guy.
I'm tired, he said. Yeah. Right, I think I heard that story.
He's only 7 games in. All right, I'm done.
Is rock the vote still a slogan, Josh?
I haven't seen that. I saw a lot of the NFL stuff telling us to vote.
Mm-hmm. Oh, sure. Yeah, the players saying this and that. It came to mind last night while I was sitting around. I was watching the Timberwolves, actually. I don't know how it came to mind because this has nothing to do with sports. This was in the early 90s. MTV started pumping the rock the vote gimmick. And I just wanted to ask you, Josh, if you had the same experience. When Dave Mustaine from Megadeth suddenly showed up on my television, and again, you got to put yourself in the mind of, at the time, I was a 19, 20-year-old kid. I couldn't have possibly cared less about politics in any way, shape, or form. And here pops up Dave Mustaine on my television, lead singer of one of the most hellacious metal bands on earth, Megadeth. He shows up on my television, and he's wearing a little pair of eyeglasses.
That's how you know he's smart.
Right.
Yeah. And he is a smart guy.
And he is. And he starts talking about voting and how important voting is. as a 19, 20-year-old kid, I was just aggravated at the sight of it.
Were you really?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that actually made me think when I saw some of my favorite rock stars. Now, I don't really care which way they vote, right?
Right.
That's whatever. And I don't know. Like if Taylor Swift or whatever big celebrity, let's say I was a fan of, if they said vote this way, I would probably ignore that. But at the same time, when somebody at that age, when I saw Dave Mustaine, I thought, shoot, maybe I should start thinking about this.
Okay, well, then it
because my attitude was, don't know, don't care. That back then, I certainly just didn't care about any of it.
It had the right effect on you. It had the wrong effect on me, and it was all my fault, just because I was a close-minded 19, 20-year-old moron, and I thought that, heavy metal had its image tarnished by that. What's a heavy metal guy doing on my television barking at me about voting? I thought that was uncool of Dave Mustaine. I was wrong. I was very, very wrong, and now I totally understand why he might get involved in such a thing and what he was trying to do. It came to mind last night. I thought, Dave Mustaine had made this big mistake and, had smudged his image as this heavy metal icon by entering the political realm. And that was stupid of me.
You see more and more, those types of PSAs. Or maybe it's just I'm watching different things and it's more of a variety.
And on the same note, what was hilarious around the same time were all the heavy metal and hard rock guys who would do the anti-drug PSAs. And,
like Nikki Sixx doesn't know what camera to look at. He's on heroin at the time.
Right. And again, as a naive, stupid kid, I really thought they meant it. And I remember seeing, I think, unless this is the liquor talking, I even think I remember Ozzy Osbourne making some kind of an anti-drug PSA. And being a stupid young person, I thought, whoa, so Ozzy must be off drugs. And then years later, we've heard stories from the producers of these PSAs saying, oh yeah, these guys, these rock stars, they just did it for the money. They would show up drunk. They would show up high and say, hey, kids, don't do drugs. It's stupid.
You could make an argument that Ozzy's the perfect guy because the parents could point to Ozzy and say, point to Ozzy and tell their kid, you want to end up like that guy? That's what decades of drugs does. He doesn't know what world he's in.
Oh, he's on a different planet.
That was just so interesting once we heard the truth behind some of them. I'm sure, and I can't think of all the rock stars who appeared in these anti-drug television commercials. I'm sure some of them meant it, but then we learned, like I said, years later that many of them just wanted to collect a check, and they showed up with a needle sticking out of their arm. What do I say? Where's my script? You know what I mean? Yeah, of course, you had guys like Gene Simmons. I remember Gene Simmons did a few of them, and being a lifelong Kiss fan and a rabid fan at that point in my life, I knew he was telling the truth because Gene Simmons never misses an opportunity to tell you that he's never been drunk and never been high and why that makes him a superior person to the rest of us. Sometimes I look back and I hate myself for worshiping that man so thoroughly when I was a young person. Because my God, is he just the most self-centered douchebag maybe that has ever lived. Remember when Prince died and someone put a mic in Gene's face? Hey, Gene, did you hear that Prince died? And Gene said, well, if he was more like me and never drank and never took drugs.
Really?
Oh, congratulations. Again, you're the straightest laced sumbitch on planet Earth, Gene Simmons. You win again.
Those are the worst, the people that try to shame you. It's like, if you don't want to drink, that's fine, or do drugs. Obviously, that's your choice. But the ones that are like, well, actually, I don't need alcohol to have a good time. Okay, cool.
Cool to be you, man.
You mentioned Prince. His sister just passed away.
Oh, no.
Really? Yeah. Is it Tika Nelson? Tika, is that how you pronounce
I couldn't tell you. I know I've seen her a couple times on television. Well, that's
she passed away yesterday.
So did Quincy Jones.
Yeah, he did as well.
Or a couple days ago, actually.
They announced that late Sunday night. 91 years old. That guy was a talented dude that had his fingers on the pulse of everything.
Mm-hmm. You want to talk about an all-timer? Yeah, Quincy Jones died a couple of days ago. He could write songs, he could produce bands, he could play. He was just one of the music's absolute all-timers.
I think he had like 28 Grammy Awards.
I'll go along with that. I will.
Just crazy.
How many more Grammys is that than you have, Dana?
About 28.
28. That's a big number.
I have an American Music Award, though. Not quite as good, but still, I have it on the mantle.
Well, you know what, Dana? Talk to me when you get that MTV Movie Award. I always loved that one.
I always thought that it was actually, the first couple of years, I thought that was kind of cool, because it wasn't as stiff as the other ones.
Right, they had words like Best Kiss and stuff like that.
Oh, God, I always thought that was absolute garbage.
That's weird that you went to Best Kiss for all the MTV Movie Awards.
You guys actually, even for a minute, took the MTV Movie Awards seriously?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if seriously is the right word, but I was entertained watching it, where the regular ones were pretty boring. Especially, it's like, best person who set up light number 4 on particular movie. Some of these awards, and I know a lot of them are off air now. It's like, I don't even understand what that means, much less why would I be interested in that?
I remember watching the Kids' Choice Awards on Nickelodeon, and people would get a stupid
I wasn't allowed to watch that.
Yeah, they'd get a stupid little blimp, and then they would slime them.
Yeah.
I knew a guy.
That was my sophomore year of high school. I wasn't an adult when that came out, the first year of the MTV Movie Awards. Plus, I was so excited to be at a friend's house that had MTV, so that added something to it.
There were other factors involved. Speaking of lighting and whatnot in a movie, Josh, I knew a guy many years ago. I knew a guy who worked in Hollywood as a lighting guy. I believe that was his gig, a lighting guy. And he worked on this movie, and he worked on that movie, and he knew this celebrity and that celebrity. And he came off like just a wonderful, wonderful guy. And then he got arrested.
Oh, no.
For trying to buy crack rocks from an undercover cop.
Ooh.
And lost it all. Going back to drugs.
I don't know anybody that I'm aware of that's done or was addicted to crack. A lot of other drugs. Had a burp there. Like, meth and things like that, but never crack.
Crack rocks.
Yeah, me either.
You know why? Because crack is whack. Did you ever see those commercials back in the day?
Yep.
I did. Ozzy and Vince Neil told me those things on television.
Well, I've never heard them say that. That was more different.
All right, Quincy Jones. I read some really interesting things about the man yesterday when I learned that he had passed away. This man, aside from his accomplishments, there were some really... Well, first off, if you're a little younger and you're wondering, okay, well, tell me something, that I would recognize that Quincy Jones was involved in. Well, Michael Jackson's biggest records were produced by Quincy Jones. He may have possibly helped with some of the songwriting and whatnot and the compositions of the songs. And I'm talking about Off the Wall. I'm talking about The Thrillers. And I'm talking about Bad. But did you know that Quincy Jones never learned to drive? And the reasoning behind that was he was in a terrible, terrible car wreck when he was a 14-year-old kid living in the state of Washington. All the other kids in the car were killed, and the story noted the other kids, his friends, were killed gruesomely.
Oh, yeah, they said he was on the way to the rodeo, I believe. They were all going to a rodeo when this happened. And it was apparently just as awful as can be.
So he never got over seeing the gruesome deaths of his young friends. He tried to drive, but he just couldn't do it. They thought he was going to die back in 1979. He had a brain aneurysm. He was convinced he was a goner. All of his friends and family were convinced he was a goner. So from what I understand, unless I misread this, and I think we were just talking about, we were talking about something related but not quite the same. he and his friends and family were so convinced that he was soon going to walk into the light in 1979 that there was a service for him that he attended while he was still alive. So I guess that the article that I read didn't detail much, but I'm just going to guess that he said, well, if I'm going to go, let's have a service for me, and I want to be there to hear all of the wonderful things and see everyone and say goodbye to everyone.
Yeah, it looks like 1974 he had a brain aneurysm.
Oh, I read it was 79. Doesn't really matter.
Okay.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, it was 74.
So then he had some kind of a clip put into his brain. Does anyone here know anything about brain aneurysms, or at least how they dealt with them in the 1970s?
Couldn't tell you how they dealt with them.
Okay. Now, according to what I read, he had some kind of a clip put in. I guess the clip held his brains together. And he was told, look, Quincy Jones, don't go blowing into that trumpet anymore, because the process of playing and the blowing and the pressure and then this, your brains could just pop like a zit on prom night and come pouring out of your ears. Don't play the trumpet anymore. Well, he's Quincy Jones, and he's still a young man, and he's a big shot, and he said, I'll go ahead and play the trumpet. So he goes on tour in Japan, and he's blowing into that horn up on stage, and he gets a terrible headache. He goes to the hospital, and they took a look at his brains, and the doctor said, yeah, you dumb bastard, that clip was about a millimeter from giving way. You would have died instantly on stage. Stop blowing the trumpet. We were serious the first time.
He said he started doing heroin at the age of 15, and when you hear something like that, you don't picture a lot of success stories after that. And he said that Ray Charles introduced him to heroin. Of all people.
Ray had some troubles, didn't he, Ray Charles?
Sounds like it.
Yeah, you know what it's like? You just say, hey, kid, 15-year-old, here's some heroin. I'm going to do that. Didn't he also, he came up with the theme for Austin Powers.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah? That's a cute theme.
I like that theme.
I didn't know that.
He was involved. I mean, any big artist from in the 70s and 80s he was involved with.
I wonder who else is on the list. The list of people who were introduced to drugs by Ray Charles. I want to know how long that list is.
I'd be curious to find that out, too.
Everyone from the 50s all the way until the day that... Oh, I know Ray stopped with the drugs, many, many years before he died. But in the 50s and 60s, what's the list of famous people who were introduced to drugs? Well, I heard about the fella you've been dancing with all over the neighborhood. What movie? 651-989-9393. Why didn't you ask me, baby? Didn't you think I could?
Quincy Jones was the man behind We Are the World, which as a fifth grader I absolutely loved.
Oh, yeah. Oh. Did you see the documentary on We Are the World?
No, I didn't watch that yet.
That was really good.
It's entertaining. It's a little long, kind of like the process of making the song. They get into all the details of how that song was written and recorded, and it goes on and on. It's kind of a long documentary. You might have to fight to stay awake.
I've heard it's great.
It's good.
Yeah, I like the part with Stevie Wonder and who was the other one? Was it Ray Charles? And
no.
They said, oh, look, it's the blind leading the blind. Because he had to go to the bathroom, so he brought him there.
Oh, you're asking who were the blind folks?
Yeah.
I believe it was Ray Charles and, God help us, Stevie Wonder.
You heard the Stevie Wonder conspiracy theories that he's not blind?
Yes.
Yeah.
Have you seen some of the videos online?
Yeah.
That's still happening?
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
yes, it
That's
is.
been going on for decades.
I know.
Leave the guy alone. He's friggin' blind.
I don't know what it is, but in the last few years it really picked up. I think just because people were putting together compilations on YouTube and stuff going, hey, now a blind person couldn't have done that. Or look, it appears he's staring at somebody out in the crowd or whatever it is.
People need to stop this nonsense. But thank you for bringing that up, Josh. That's right. Quincy Jones was the guy behind We Are the World. And, yeah, if you haven't seen the documentary, it's just great to see all those people, all those performers who were involved in the song. It's great to see them all when they were young and just having a blast in the 80s. And some of my favorite people that have ever lived. Huey friggin' Lewis, Steve Perry.
He's the best.
Lionel Richie. And one of the comedic parts of the documentary is, I think it was Al Jarreau, famous singer, I think he's maybe checked out at this point, but I can't be 100% sure. It was a long process, and it didn't start. The recording of the song is what I'm referencing, the long process. And it didn't start until 11 o'clock, midnight, because everyone was at the MTV Movie Awards or some event, right?
Yeah, it was like the AMAs or something.
Whatever. They were at some music-oriented event, the Grammys, the Emmys, I don't know what these things are. So it didn't start until like 11 o'clock, midnight. And so by the time they got done at 8, 9 o'clock the next morning, people were cooked. And also some people were drinking. And Al Jarreau, I think that's the character if you watch the documentary, he had a few too many drinks. And he was effing up his part over and over again and barely able to keep his eyes open because the man had, he was having a good time. Having a good time. All right. We might as well get going again. Wouldn't you say, Josh?
Yeah.
Kenny Rogers, of course, someone texted in. Yes, of course, seeing Kenny involved in that song is always a wonderful thing.
Didn't you say you watched it, but you wanted to fast forward through all the Bruce Springsteen parts? You just couldn't stand the Bruce Springsteen?
He was pretty heavily featured.
Springsteen was involved in that?
Did you know that, Dana?
I did, yes.
I never noticed he was even there. I remember Huey Lewis. I remember the Superior performers. Huey Lewis, Steve Perry,
that
Kenny
Steve
Rogers.
Perry part's so good.
Oh, let's play it today. There's a choice we're making. When Steve Perry sings, there's a choice we're making. He doesn't say making like a typical dork. He says make on. All right. What kind of choice? What choice? What did he do again, Josh?
He made a choice.
There was a choice he was... Not make.
It was make. He was making a choice.
Make on.
Make on a choice.
We'll be right back on the Half-Assed Morning Show.
There's a douchiness to them. The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
It is that time of the year at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Winter's arrived, and with the holidays around the corner, it's the perfect time for Standard Heating's Black Friday Comfort Countdown specials. And right now is the time to become a Smart Club member and get your furnace in top shape before winter comes. Schedule your tune-up, boost your indoor air quality, or grab huge deals on a new system. Do not wait. Visit standardheating.com today. Comfort you deserve since 1930.
Former Navy SEAL Sean Ryan shares real stories from real people from all walks of life on The Sean Ryan Show. Former U.S. Navy Admiral Tim Gallaudet.
How did you get involved in this whole UFO thing?
One day, I get this email on the Navy's secret network. If any of you know what these are, tell me ASAP. F-18 pilots captured video of this UAP zorching over the water, just a little round sphere. And so I knew right there, that was something not ours.
The Sean Ryan Show on YouTube or wherever you listen.
Stupid news on the Half-Assed Morning Show.
Yeah, we were talking earlier, weren't we, Josh?
Yes, we were. Yes, we were.
Today is Election Day. God help us all. God and baby Jesus help us. What an absolute disaster American politics have become. An unmitigated disaster. All we can do is hope that grown folks can keep it together, and that's a long shot. Here's a fun way to look at it. A listener texted in, Josh, and said, it's like the whole country is waiting for an STD result. It's kind of the same feeling, isn't it?
A little bit.
Same feeling.
Along those lines, I'm hoping to make the bedroom a polling place tonight. If you guys, if you follow me there, it'd be a nice way to not pay attention to politics for a minute and a half or something this evening.
A polling
station.
Place.
Yeah. That's right.
That's hot stuff.
Yeah, I'll send you video. Always do.
Yeah, you always do.
Hey,
Right.
I wanted to thank someone before we get going here. Yesterday, we were lucky enough to get a package from former Mopar parts pusher Jesus, and he gave us some stuff, and I wanted to say thank you. It was kind of funny. There's a note in it that said, hey, please don't open this until between 6 and 7:30 a.m., but the note was inside at the bottom of the package. So, yeah, we didn't know, until we opened it.
He's got a window of time between 6 and 7:30 when he'll have the time to listen to us discuss the present that he sent to the radio station.
Yeah, that's when he wanted us to open it, but obviously we didn't get the note. But I wanted to say thanks. Ashley got a bag of rocks, some agates, which she said were of the finest of quality.
Those are absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much.
And then he got
a bag of rocks.
A bag of rocks.
Yes.
He got me some. That's the same thing in Wapple's head.
Yes.
Just one big bag of rocks. And then thank you for the hoodies. You got me some cool hoodies, and I know, Nick, you got some movies and stuff like that.
You got some great clothing. You're going to look great in those hoodies.
I look forward to wearing them.
He got me the DVD, 2 DVDs, Toxic Avenger 1 and 2.
Cool.
I love the Toxic Avenger movie series, especially the original. Thank you again. What's the name of the character?
Former Mopar Parts pusher Jesus.
What a wonderful guy. Right from the get-go here, for today's Stupid News Report, is a court case with an interesting vibe to it. Uncommon is what I'll call it here, Cubby. Uncommon. And it's a story that came smooth out of a place called Singapore. A brother and sister took each other to court for separate but related reasons, and I'm not trying to be cute with that. Here's the deal. The sister wouldn't stop going into her brother's bedroom and cleaning it for him. He didn't like her sniffing around in his private personal things, and you'll hear more about how his sister operated here in a minute. So the sister would not stop going into her brother's bedroom to clean it. So he decided to go ahead and sue her for that. And she went ahead and sued him, I guess, because at one point or another, he tuned her up. He kicked her ass for going into his bedroom uninvited over and over and over and over again. So they got John Law involved, and they took each other to court. They went to family court. Man, how embarrassing. We're not mature enough to handle things on our own, so we're going to go off to family court. At this hearing, the brother complained that his sister had been entering his bedroom repeatedly over 8 years. And again, the sister alleged that her brother beat her ass. The court granted orders to both of them. I'm not exactly sure what that means. From what I understand, the sister is banned by the court from ever entering her brother's bedroom ever again, and the brother can't lay another finger on his sister, or they'll both go to jail or something. But this here's pretty dramatic stuff. Pretty dramatic. The brother says he felt that his privacy had been intruded on, and it caused him, Cubby, such stress that he had to check into a mental institute.
Wow.
A few times.
Yeah, that's extreme.
But when you hear what he was up against, at first when I read that, I thought, okay, come on. You were stressed out by your sister entering your bedroom to clean it so much so that you ended up in a mental health institute.
But the details were weird.
The details are very weird.
I don't know if it's mental institution weird, but it's definitely, you can understand maybe why you'd have to get the court involved weird, because she wouldn't quit it.
Brother said he was stressed out to where he went bananas. The sister said, look, she merely wanted to clean the room because her brother is a disgusting slob. Now, I haven't heard anything from their parents yet. I bet their parents, Josh, I'm going to guess the parents said to the brother and sister, if either one of you jackasses as much as mutters our name in court, you're out of the will. I bet you the parents are so friggin' embarrassed by this that they're hiding under a bed summers.
Yeah.
So here's some more of this nonsense. The brother said his sister would come on walking into his room at 11 o'clock at night and would clean his room until around 4 o'clock in the morning.
Jeez, all right. I would have a serious problem with that.
Has an attention to detail.
What was the dude? Was he taking deuces on the floor? I've never heard of a bedroom that took 5 hours to clean, except on the Hoarders television show. Dude's trying to sleep, and here comes his goofy sister with a vacuum in one hand and a wet rag in the other, and she's going to be in there doing this and that from 11 p.m. till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. This went on for 8 years. They do not live together. The sister would drive across town to clean a player's room. At one point, the judge involved in this silliness in family court, the judge asked this gal, the sister, "What the hell are you doing over there in the middle of the night?" Now, we should cut to the chase. This gal is nuts. She doesn't get it. Listen to her answer. When the judge said, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this at 11 o'clock at night till 4 or 5 in the morning when your brother's trying to sleep?" And she said, "I'm not his maid. I'm not his worker. Late at night is when I have free time. I have to do this on my schedule."
You don't have to do anything, girl.
Wait, what? The sister would not take no for an answer. If the brother locked the doors to his place, she'd find another ways into his house so she could clean.
Just goes through the window.
And then one day her brother snapped and he kicked her ass up and down the house. And here we are.
Yeah, the first time you might be like, "Hey, that was really cool." I mean, I wish you could have done it at a more reasonable hour, but I can't complain. You cleaned my room.
Yeah.
I love the way you put that. Hey, that was really cool last night. Remember that thing that you did last night?
I'm very appreciative.
From 11
Can I
a.m.?
get you a gift card to something, or can I do something for you in return?
This gal's more or less kicking in the damn door for 8 years, storming into her brother's room, and there she goes with the cleaning. She doesn't care. He's got to get up in the morning and go to work.
Oh, I would have snapped.
He did.
A lot earlier than 8 years.
Yeah, me too.
That's one of those things. I'm going to give you 1 month to knock off this cleaning my room business. But yeah, you're right, Ashley. 8 years?
He's strong for that, all right?
He shouldn't have laid his hands on her, but boy, did he give her a lot of opportunities to stop.
That's just, and again, I wonder about the parents. Maybe the parents are dead now. I don't know. They never gave the...
They mentioned the dad owns the place. So at least the dad must be alive. I don't know if he lives there or not. He owns where the brother lives.
Where the brother lives. Oh, okay. Okay, so let's assume then that mom and dad are both alive. I guarantee you they pulled these two people aside, their son and daughter, and said, "You better not utter our friggin' name. You two friggin' clowns can't settle this on your own like adults. You got to go to family court." Who here wants to up and admit that their bedroom is disgusting?
I mean, sure, it used to be back in the day, but not anymore.
I'm talking about right now.
Yeah, no.
We all do a pretty good job.
Yeah,
how about when we were
job.
kids? Whose place was disgusting when we were kids?
Never.
Mine was spotless because my grandma in the commune I grew up in, she was obsessively clean.
You lucky prick.
That's my mom, too. I would, Josh, I would clean my bedroom and then go to school, and I would come back, and it would be re-cleaned because I didn't do it right the first time.
That's how my grandma was, too.
Yep.
What was it like growing up with a family that took care of you?
Can
you tell me?
I definitely appreciate it.
She always found the stuff I was trying to hide in my room, though. That sucked.
That sucks.
I suppose maybe my place was kind of gross when I was a young kid. But then again, like Josh and I have discussed before, my bedroom was in an unfinished basement. You can't polish a turd. You know what I mean? But it makes me think, and a friend of mine brought this up over the weekend about even though my brother and I are twins, we run differently. There are a lot of similarities, of course, we're twins, but we do run differently when it comes to certain things. And one of the glaring differences between the two of us when we were kids was every once in a while, our mother would say, "Okay, neither one of you schmucks can leave the house until you clean your room." And my brother, just being told to do something or given orders was enough to make him go nuclear. Just being told that he could not leave the house until he cleans his room would usually cause him to damage his room. He'd have like a spinning temper tantrum, right? Like children do. And he'd break something, and then he'd sit there, with his arms folded at his chest with steam coming out of his ears. And he just would refuse to do it, simply on the basis of being told to do something. And I would always try to talk to him. I'd say, dude, do you not understand that we have two of the most inattentive parents in the county? Just kick your dirty clothes under the bed, make the bed. I mean, just half-ass wipe off a couple of tables, and we're gone.
Yeah, I remember a couple times just grabbing everything, throwing it in the closet, and shutting the door.
That's all you had to do. Yep. That's all you had to do. But my brother... So there I am, within minutes, I'm on a bicycle racing through town, doing whatever you did as a 12-year-old. My brother, he'd spend the rest of the day in his bedroom because he was told to clean his room. I will not!
He punishes himself.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And still to this day, when an assumed authority figure tells him what to do, you can see a couple of veins in his forehead begin to pulsate. That's one glaring difference between the two of us.
My parents figured that kick all your clothes underneath the bed thing out pretty quick.
So they would actually look.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, oh Lord have mercy.
Christ have mercy.
In a place called Youngstown, Ohio, where there was a showdown the other night in Youngstown, Ohio. There was a hell of a showdown. One dude with a machete in hand.
Cool.
And the other was twirling a set of those nunchucks. Now, 9 times out of 10, who you picking in that matchup, Josh, and why?
Boy, that's not an easy question, really. I'm going to go nunchuck guy, assuming he knows how to use them, because he could wrap those son of a guns right over that big blade and then pull it out of the guy's hand and turn it around on.
Like Indiana Jones used to do with the whip.
With the whip, just like the whip.
You're going nunchucks guy. So 9 times out of 10.
Yeah, again, assuming he knows what he's doing.
Right.
If I was going to do battle with someone and I had to choose my weapon between the two, I would take the machete.
Yes, 100%.
Just because I would probably obliterate my testicles with nunchucks.
With a machete, you can just swing it like a baseball bat and hope to get lucky. With nunchucks,
I can guess how to operate that.
Nunchucks, you got to have skios.
True. Although...
Uh-oh.
Okay. Now I'm thinking, what if the other person is really good at nunchucks? I wouldn't want them to have those nunchucks. So maybe I would take the nunchucks so they couldn't do that trick to me with my machete.
Might be overthinking this one.
Yeah, I think you're going to get stabbed at the end of this.
Now, wait a minute.
Either way, I don't like your chances, Joe.
He's got a third option here now.
I have no third option.
Maybe the third option is let's pray about this.
That's a great option.
Yeah.
Maybe the third option for me is I just choke myself out with the nunchucks. I'd be too afraid to fight somebody with a machete.
Let's me and you just let's pray about this. Come up with a solution. Youngstown, Ohio, showdown. One dude with a machete. The other guy's got a set of nunchucks. Let me see if I can explain this to you. So machete dude gets a knock on his door one night, and he doesn't recognize who it is out there a-knocking. So he goes after the guy with his machete. Logical move, right? I don't recognize who you are knocking on my door. I will attack you with a machete. The guy on the other side of the door who had the wrong house in the first place, that's some piss poor luck right there, who had the wrong house in the first place, defended himself with a pair of nunchucks that he had in his back pocket.
What kind of neighborhood is this?
This is, right. The nunchuck guy, by the way, just so happens to be in his damn 80s.
Whoa.
Machete guy is in his 60s. Nunchucks guy is in his 80s. This is a matchup for the ESPN Classic channel. Neither one of the Jurassic jackasses ended up dead, but they'll be going to court for this.
Yeah, those are two. I mean, the machete we hear about quite often, but nunchucks doesn't come up very often.
No.
Not since I got out of junior high.
Although, Dana, I could see you having some teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle themed nunchucks at home.
I don't have themed nunchucks, but I do have a set of nunchucks.
Like real ones?
No, they're kind of foamy on the end. Like, I mean, it would still hurt if you got whacked in the head with it, but it's not like a real deal.
They're kind of foamy.
Yeah, there's a foam, like a kind of a padded foam on them.
Well, they're foam then.
Well, no, but it's hard underneath the foam.
Sure, there's a foam cover.
Yes, there you go.
You're kind of foamy.
I've just never heard anyone say that. Well, they're kind of foamy.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I haven't seen a set of nunchucks since junior high. But that was a hell of a deal right there. And Josh, I'd like to see what you described. I'd like to see that happen sometime. The guy with the nunchucks. Whoopsh! He throws them forward and he wraps them around the machete and pulls it right out of the other guy's hands.
Yeah, I could see that happen.
Then gives him a beating with both. Speaking of... what should I call it? Speaking of domestic weaponry, I guess. Here's a video you might want to get a look at. In Argentina, Jagoff walks into a convenience store with a knife looking to rob the place. But what he wasn't prepared for was the cute gal with glasses behind the counter that had a knife on her about 4 times the size the knife the Jagoff was swinging around.
That's a knife. That's a knife.
This video is up on 93x.com, and I absolutely love it because she looks so, pleased with herself.
Yeah, I'm sure.
She's very cute. So again, dude walks into a convenience store. He's got a good-sized knife. The cute gal with glasses behind the counter, she's got a real keeper in her hand. So Jagoff quietly walks out of the store. He saw what he was up against. Didn't say a word as far as I could tell. He just upped and walked out. The cute gal with glasses smiled as he punked out and walked away. It says here, it just so happens that the cute gal with the knife was preparing herself a sandwich for lunch. And it was just perfect timing.
Yeah, you'd probably feel like a pretty big failure if you were that thief or potential thief, wouldn't you?
Son of a bitch, look at the size of that knife she's got. I should have brought the good stuff.
He also tucked it down the front of his pants, which seems very dangerous.
You could cut your pecker that way.
It seemed like not a good place to put it.
You could cut your pecker. All right, I guess what we have here for you is one more final Halloween-style story, at least from the stupid news portion of our program. It's cute. It doesn't take long to get to where we're going. Stupid idiot in the northern part of the state of California got arrested on Halloween while dressed as a prisoner for Halloween. His costume for the night was an orange jumpsuit with Department of Corrections written on the back. The laughs I'm sure they had, Josh, once they hauled him into the cooler.
I do love those, or when you see like an elf arrested around Christmas, things like that.
I wonder if they even bothered to make the guy change clothes when they booked him. He's already wearing the gear.
We'll save some money.
We've mentioned this before, but back in the late 90s, early 2000s, we worked with coworkers who would wear that. I think it was Slipknot related.
I don't even want to get involved in this conversation because my blood pressure will skyrocket.
Yeah, they used to wear those just around the office here.
That is so dorky.
Not as a Halloween bit, just as this is what I'm wearing to work today.
There was a time when we worked with some folks who, they were convinced they were every bit as big the rock star as the musicians we were playing on the radio. They
big fake mink coats.
Oh, God.
My gosh, ew.
People there were some of these people who they didn't wear clothes to work. They wore costumes because, they wanted to portray the idea that, look, I'm not just your average schmuck. I push buttons on a soundboard and play music on the radio. I'm not just your average dickhead. And the outfits that these people would wear to work were just friggin' hilarious. What are you doing? You live in Egan in an apartment, and then when this is over, when your radio show is over, you're going to your mom's place to help her rake the yard. Why are you dressed like this? You're just an average person. But they had this vibe going. When the dude showed up wearing the prison jumpsuit because he was a Slipknot fan or something, that's when I filled out half my paperwork to quit.
Well, and the best is when the gentleman started, we were a different radio station, and he was like polo shirt, Dockers, khakis, that type of person. And then we became a rock station. It's, got to get the tattoos and the prison jumpsuit and show up at work.
I mean, so many people, dorky. At least back in those days, so many people got involved in radio because they were desperate to be noticed, and this was a classic example of that. Please notice that I'm different. Please notice that I'm not ordinary.
Fat Moose Jesus, back to the the nunchucks. He said he's always going to assume someone who has nunchucks doesn't really know how to use them. I go the opposite way.
I anticipate the worst.
Because you can't fake that. As soon as somebody tries, they'll look ridiculous if they don't know what they're doing. I know one person who's really good at it.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. But he's the same guy I've told you before, had like katana blades on his wall and throwing stars. Guys. And he had a little everything hung up on his wall.
Cool.
So here's this guy again. He gets arrested on Halloween, and his Halloween costume is he is a prisoner. Orange jumpsuit, says Department of Corrections right on the back. Highway Patrol clocked him going 90, 90 piles an hour. Oh, and he had dumped a few at that point in the night. He was arrested for a DWI. The local cops posted a photo on that godless social media of the dude getting himself cuffed on the side of the road while still in his dumb prisoner costume. Now, don't hold this against him, although I wouldn't blame you if you did. The cops, like I said, they posted a photo on social media, and then they also made a comment. Don't hold it against him, although I wouldn't blame you if you did. The cops told people to, quote, always plan a sober ride home. Don't let poor decisions haunt you.
Nice.
They should have saved that one. Don't you think they should have saved that one? That one was dumb.
Seemed a little forced.
Yeah, I suppose maybe they just have a list of holiday-related puns, and they threw that one on there.
I think I've told you before about a couple of my buddies who worked as jail guards, I think might be the term. They would hang out at the jail.
Corrections officer?
Yeah, I guess. But I don't think they ever were given too much.
I thought that was the term.
Well, okay, it doesn't matter. I don't know why I'm sitting here like this. They hung around the jail. They were cops to a certain extent, and they just had to keep an eye on the derelicts that were spending a night or two in jail. They didn't wander around prisons and do that whole thing. It was just they were kind of babysitters for a night or two, just to keep the dildos in line there. And, of course, there were always a few of these morons who were incarcerated for a night or two who would bitch and complain and scream and cry about the outfit that they were forced to wear. It was too big, it was too small, it was too tight. And obviously, if one of the inmates, had a legitimate issue and presented that issue maturely, hey, this is a little tight up here, can I get a bigger size? They would absolutely say, yeah, dude, I'll go get you. But the ones who were just obstinate about it and obnoxious and cursing and swearing and being very disrespectful, they had this cute prank. They'd say, yeah, okay, fine. Yeah, give me I'll find you something to wear. I'll find you something better. And then the guy, the bitching and complaining inmate would hand one of my buddies the jumpsuit. And my buddies would come back with the clothing that was left in the jail lost and found. And force them. So then this guy who was bitching and complaining for the rest of his time in jail will be forced to wear cowboy boots, Bermuda shorts, and, a hockey jersey with a cowboy hat. Here you go.
He could play in Weird Al's band.
Right. All right. We have time. Here we go with this gimmick again, the GPS-created penis. Do you know what I mean by that?
Oh, yeah, these are always funny.
I do like those.
This is up on 93x.com.
That's a talent.
It is.
This time around, it's apparently the largest GPS dong ever created by man.
Wow.
Going back hundreds of years.
Imagine getting to put that in your resume.
Says here, a runner created the largest GPS-drawn penis to raise money for charity. Here we go, Josh. He says it was the hardest thing he's ever done. Folks say he went balls out. They called it a stiff challenge. They did. All of those puns in one story. This runner used a route tracking app called Strava, if you know what that means, to draw the largest ever GPS mapped penis. He ran 75 miles. So he created a record-breaking 75-mile shaft and bag, and it was drawn in less than 24 hours by a 39-year-old fella called Terry Rosoman. He's a damned Englishman. He ran up and around something called the Welsh Mountains. And all the while, the GPS is tracking him, and he knows what he's doing. He's taking a route so he can create a massive wiener plus testicles. He raised more than $9,000. This is all part of the Movember gimmick. We're already up in it right now, Josh, Movember.
We are.
Why isn't it called Brovember? Have we covered this?
Well, isn't the M for like a mustache?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
The M-O, I should say.
Okay.
You grow a mustache.
So the guy who ran around England and created the largest GPS-drawn penis, he says, I didn't want to offend anyone with the shape, but it was just a good way to get attention for the charity. The elevation, it was a tough deal. The elevation almost made him sick. He's running for 24, I don't know, what was it, 12 straight hours. Jogging for 12 straight hours.
Nope.
Pitch black conditions. A friend of his came with him. That's some friend. They started last Friday at 5 p.m. They came back to the same spot just before 4:30 p.m. the next day. So it was almost a smooth 12 hours of running. They ran their asses off. They didn't sleep. They ran through the night. $9,000.
Not bad.
And, of course, that giant GPS dong for everyone to look at. It far exceeded their target. They were looking to raise $6,500. They raised $9,000.
That's awesome.
Social Anxiety Jesus says he doesn't like the way the guy's posing for the picture in the article.
I didn't see it.
Yeah, it's bad.
It's not just the pose, it's the underwear he's wearing. The Union Jack underpants. And also...
like Rick Allen used to wear on stage?
Right, when he'd be up there drumming for Def Leppard.
Yeah.
Austin Powers.
Did you guys... I mean, it's penis-y, certainly, but I kind of thought it more looked like a dog sitting than a penis.
Is this on our website?
Yes.
Okay, I'll have to look at it real quick, Kebby. You said what now?
Oh, yeah, I can see the dog sitting
It kind of looks like a dog or a cat.
with the collar there.
Yeah, with a collar on and everything.
Yeah, I see it.
I can't find it on our website. Oh, here it is.
That is a common refrain. I can't find it on our website.
Oh, I see what he's doing.
He's winking at you, too.
Yeah, he makes me uncomfortable.
Is it the mustache, the wink, the underwear, the combo?
It's all of it.
Yeah, his entire look is a bit unsettling. He combs his hair like he's You know what his hairdo reminds me of, Josh?
What's that?
A foosball character.
Oh, yeah. That is very foosball.
Yeah.
If you've ever played foosball, all of the players had that same hairdo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like the guy anymore. I'm happy for him, but I don't like him.
I think when you play foosball, you should be able to spin the deal. It's less fun when you can't spin it.
Rookie stuff.
People get mad at you when you spin.
No, you
Yeah,
can't
I
spin.
found that
You're not a kid anymore. You don't spin.
Well, I didn't know. And then I was told many, many years ago you can't spin.
No,
and
you
I thought, well, this game is no longer the same.
You couldn't find any joy in it?
No, it really lost a lot of luster.
Oh,
at that
we were
point.
very, very serious foosball players when we were high school age kids and even into our middle 20s. My brother and I had a table, and we had some spirited tournaments down in my folks' basement. And, you should have seen the reaction when some newbies, some rookies would show up, and we'd say, ready, go, and they'd start spinning. We'd say, no. Go back to junior high, punk. There's no spinning allowed at this house of foosball worship.
But that puts the exclamation point on it. You know, I mean, you could just walk away if you got an amazing goal and you embarrass the other guy. But you can't do it.
No, you can't. Like the guys who would play defense by just spinning the living hell out of you.
I understand how that's cheating.
No, you can't spin at all.
But when you got a shot, I think you should be able to spin it.
No, you just you go ahead. If you want to play the junior high kids, they'll allow it, Josh.
Yeah.
They'll allow it.
Sports. on the 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
That pass broken up and stolen by DiVincenzo. Leads it for Gobert with ferocity.
Yeah, the Timberwolves just straight up beat the living hell out of the Charlotte Hornets last night there in downtown Minneapolis. There was a cute little highlight there of Rudy Gobert getting up for a slam dunk. He can do that. Rudy can dunk the basketball. If, in fact, he's got both hands on it. I don't understand his hands. I don't.
What don't you like about him?
What is he, 7?
7-something.
7-something. His hands got to be the size of, like, your mother's ass. But he's got to have two. You guys have noticed this. He's got to have two hands on the basketball, or it just goes squirting right up in the air. It just shoots right out of his. And I'd put a 6th grader against him in a dribbling contest. But
it does kind of, when you watch him dribble, sometimes you wonder, wait, that's a professional basketball player.
That's why Rudy. That's why he's so much fun to watch. Really, really, honestly, he's a riot to watch.
It is weird when you can palm a basketball and you have to have two hands on it. Maybe it's very slippery.
I don't know. I mean, it's a French thing. I just don't know. 21 points. Wolves beat the Hornets by 21 points. Naz Reid had a great night. I'll tell you about that. I'll tell you a little more about that when we have some more time here in about a half hour. Next up, they play at the Chicago Bulls. On Thursday night, the Pigs and Los Angeles Kings. Conference foes, aren't they, Josh?
They are.
The Pigs and the Los Angeles Kings. They're scheduled to play a hockey game tonight at the XL Energy Center, starting at 7 o'clock. We'll talk to Marky Foligno at 8 o'clock this morning about all that. Mark doing all right? I thought I read something.
We'll talk to him tomorrow.
Yeah, I think it's tomorrow.
What day is it today?
Today's
Tuesday.
I thought we normally talk to Mark on Tuesdays.
Wednesdays.
Oh, for Christ's
every
sake.
other Wednesday.
Yeah.
Oh, well, now that I promised folks an interview with a member of the Minnesota Wild, someone better get on the telephone. We need to get it done by 8 o'clock. Okay, forget about Mark Foligno then. Randy Shaver and C. Willi Myles will join us here in about, right?
Yes, he will be here.
Yes. Jesus Christ.
Yes.
It's Tuesday. He'll be here.
Yeah. Randy Shaver and C. Willi Myles will be joining us in about a half hour. Stick around for Josh's news report.
There's a douchiness to them. The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
It is that time of the year at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Winter's arrived, and with the holidays around the corner, it's the perfect time for Standard Heating's Black Friday Comfort Countdown specials. And right now is the time to become a Smart Club member and get your furnace in top shape before winter comes. Schedule your tune-up, boost your indoor air quality, or grab huge deals on a new system. Do not wait. Visit standardheating.com today. Comfort you deserve since 1930.
Hey, it's Rich Eisen here. Join me and my compadre, Chris Brockman, every Monday on the Overreaction Monday podcast.
Multiple 10-win teams in the NFC are going to miss the playoffs.
Who are the multiple? So one of them is going to be an NFC North team, is what you're saying?
Perhaps.
And then another one's what?
I think this could happen.
I'll push back and
Circle
call that
back.
an overreaction. Come react or overreact with us. I like your moxie. I like the cut of your jib right there. Overreaction Monday, wherever you listen. It's game over.
Over, man.
Half-Assed Morning Show. 93X.
We have a drone program that is on that J line, on that 7 line, where we predominantly see it. We're hitting social media hard. We're putting out videos with parents. We're showing the effects that this has on it.
Sadly, social media has slaughtered once more. The latest senseless death took place in New York City, where a 13-year-old girl is the latest to lose her life while subway surfing. A dangerous trend, police say, is fueled by social media. Subway surfing is what it sounds like, riding on top of moving subway cars, a risky and illegal activity which has recently gained traction online, inspiring copycats despite its sometimes deadly consequences. Just this year, there have already been 6 deaths and 181 arrests linked to subway surfing, surpassing last year's numbers. Only a few days before this latest incident, a 13-year-old boy lost his life while subway surfing. Another young person barely survived after hitting his head in the Bronx. The NYPD has started using drones to monitor and deter thrill seekers and has been showing videos to parents in order to highlight just how dangerous the activity is. This thrill-seeking behavior has life-altering consequences, said the NYPD. In response to the growing trend, the Metropolitan Transportation Authority has teamed up with social media platforms to take down thousands of videos promoting subway surfing.
Isn't that something? Poor kid got mangled, I would imagine.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. And it's several that it's happened to.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could see as a dumb kid the appeal or something like that,
Most
but I think
definitely.
the first time I heard somebody's head got blown off, on a sign, maybe I'd avoid something.
Right.
Today's election day.
Oh, boy.
Oh, wow.
Like a scene straight out of the old TV show, that's all I'm going to say about it, Dukes of Hazzard. A 26-year-old Michigan man, in a rush to get across a bridge as it was rising, hit the gas on his Dodge and landed on the other side, just like Bo and Luke Duke. I looked and thought, no way he's doing this, but over he went, the drawbridge operator said. Detroit police even referenced the Dukes of Hazzard when they sent out the call, said the driver somehow made it to the other side of the bridge without a scratch on him. But unlike the 80s show where the cousins made those wild, gravity-defying jumps in their 1969 Dodge Charger to escape Sheriff Roscoe P. Coltrane, it wasn't so smooth on the landing. In this case, the driver ended up with a smashed windshield, wrecked tires, and a broken bridge safety gate. For his efforts, he's looking at charges for malicious destruction of property. Nobody's quite sure why he tried to pull off the jump.
Just didn't want to wait, but he made her.
Yeah, he made it. The car's destroyed.
Aww.
In the Dukes of Hazzard, the iconic car known as the General Lee, the 1969 aforementioned Dodge Charger, was famous for its long, high-flying jumps. The show actually used over 300 Chargers during filming.
They wrecked a few of them, huh?
They did wrecked. Sometimes the production team would have to go through multiple cars in a single episode due to the intense action scenes.
Oh, that's funny.
Boy, did I love that show and that car.
You were all over the Dukes.
I sure was.
I rooted for Boss Hogg. I did.
He had his moments.
Yeah, he's a lovable little guy.
He was. Usually after a night of drinking, the least likely person to end up with a DWI is the designated driver. Usually. But they do things a bit different in Texas, where a 19-year-old driver was arrested on a DWI charge in College Station after hitting a median, leaving the road, driving through landscaping in a parking lot, swiping the side of a donut shop, before finally coming to a stop near some convenience store gas pumps, all while designated driving.
He was the guy for the night.
The teen admitted he was at a party and had consumed 7 beers and 3 shots earlier in the evening, yet he was the designated driver for the 5 passengers in his car.
How much did they have?
7 beers, 3 shots. That'll get it done.
Turns out he's pretty bad at being sober while driving because he's really good at being busted for drunk driving. Jail records show this was the driver's 3rd arrest for alcohol-related offenses in the past 3 months, and he's not even old enough to drink legally.
What the hell's this kid's problem?
One of the passengers, a 19-year-old, was arrested for tampering with evidence after witnesses saw him throwing alcohol bottles from the car into a trash can at the gas station. He told police he did it to help his bro.
Get rid of the evidence.
Yes. Police said none of the car's occupants had serious injuries, despite the vehicle being totaled.
3 DWIs in 3 months?
Yeah. Somebody else. Why would you get in a car with that guy? Somebody else needs to drive.
That's almost just unmatched stupidity right there. I remember a couple times being in a situation where we were underage, ripping around town with beers in the car, and the police, are on our ass. In one particular case, it was more or less a chase. And I had to toss the cases of beer out the window to get rid of the evidence. Once we rounded a corner and we were out of sight of the cop, I tossed the beer out the window. Now, one time it did save a few of us from getting in trouble. We were pulled over, and the cop, wasn't able to give us that possession ticket because I had chucked the beer out the window. One of the other occasions, the cops were after somebody else, and it was paranoia. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, so they weren't even trying to pull you over?
We were, drinking underage in the car, cop with the cherries flipping behind us, and we thought, oh, they got us. So when we rounded a corner, I chucked the beer out a window, and we kept going, and this cop also kept going. He was chasing somebody else, so we had to turn around, go back, and pick up our broken cans of beer out of somebody's yard.
The discovery of what appeared to be a human head this Halloween unfolded in a familiar way. Started like many recent stories, sparking a massive police response and a wave of local concern. Yesterday, we spoke of hunters in west central Minnesota who stumbled upon what they believed was a human skeleton, only to find it was nothing more than a discarded Halloween decoration. Similar to that story, there was a snorkeler in the Colorado River who made headlines when he discovered a skeleton adorned with sunglasses, which turned out to be nothing more than an eerie prank. But that, too, had a large police response. This latest case follows the same pattern, with the only difference being it took place in England, and the other distinguishing factor, the decapitated head was real. A 74-year-old man died after being hit by a bus just before 7:30 p.m. the other day.
And his head came off?
The poor English chap's head popped right off.
Oh, no. I'll be damned.
Witnesses out celebrating Halloween initially thought the head was a Halloween prank. A hotel receptionist nearby said she heard about it when colleagues mentioned a human head had been found, and they thought it was just a decoration. A police spokeswoman urged the public not to share distressing images out of respect for the man's family. Police are investigating that incident.
Ooh-wee. Well, I don't know about the rest of you, but I have never seen a severed human head in person.
No, me either, not yet.
I would probably also assume it to be a joke or a prank or something. But the poor guy got hit so hard by a damn city bus that his head came off?
His head popped right off.
Dang.
A 60-year-old man faces an indecent exposure charge after he was found on the hood of a car in New Hampshire last week while naked. Manchester police got a call about a naked man on the hood of a car about 5 p.m. last Monday. They asked what he was doing, but he didn't respond. Since witnesses were nearby, they wrapped a towel around him to cover his gross penis and took him into custody. There have been other recent incidents involving public indecent exposure reports across various locations. For the last several months, a man in South Brunswick, New Jersey, has been exposing himself and masturbating in front of women near an apartment complex. Police have asked the public's help in identifying the midday masturbator as his actions have escalated to daylight hours. Last May in Australia, a 26-year-old was jailed after multiple instances of public masturbation, including incidents at a bus stop, outside a school, and then he went back to a home he used to live in to masturbate.
Ooh-wee.
And in September, a man was caught on surveillance camera performing a lewd act with a cucumber in front of a woman's home in Washington, D.C.
I remember that one. That one was fun.
Yeah, he put that like as a hood ornament. He just backed right into that thing.
Mm-hmm.
A man
just like the old suction cup dildo type thing, right, Cubby?
That's right, which I just learned about.
Yeah, now you're an expert.
A man craving some sex on the beach didn't get what he ordered, and it nearly killed him. A 24-year-old man and his 18-year-old accomplice are now facing serious charges after ambushing a would-be romantic who thought he was headed for an unforgettable night of beachside passion, which included having sex while tied up on the beach. About 8:30 p.m. Wednesday, a frantic Florida man flagged down a sheriff's deputy bleeding profusely, telling the cop he'd been attacked by a couple on the beach, right where he believed he was about to experience a risque rendezvous involving some kinky bondage. According to the victim, he and the woman had made plans to meet at the beach for some tied-up fun under the stars. She even picked him up from his home, driving them both to what he thought was going to be the Sandy sex spot. But as they arrived, he stated that he was feeling odd vibes.
Mm-hmm.
But he went along with the plan. He thought he was going to get some. The woman pulled out a yellow rope and started tying him up. Just as the last knot tightened, a man emerged from the shadows dressed in all black. The victim struggled to free himself, but before he could escape, the woman pinned his legs down. He fought her off and was able to break free, only to be tackled by the man who began choking him while she rained punches down on his face. She then produced a hatchet and started swinging.
Oh, no.
Not the type of whacking he'd been hoping for.
Oh, no.
The victim managed to fend them off and bolted toward the road, bleeding and battered, but alive. The couple were both arrested and charged with aggravated battery with a deadly weapon.
Aggravated battery with it? That's attempted murder is what that is. She was swinging at him with a hatchet while he was tied down?
The victim, who never got his sex, suffered several lacerations and long cuts to his abdomen. Yeah, you think if somebody's whacking at your stomach with a hatchet there, that's attempted murder.
Yeah. This was a Tinder date type of thing. He didn't know this lady at all. Let's just go have sex on the beach. I'll tie you up, she says.
Yep.
He didn't know her at all. My God, that's embarrassing. I mean, of course, embarrassment isn't what the guy's likely thinking of right now. He's thanking his lucky stars that he's alive. But, oh, my damn, you fell for that? Yeah, you're a complete stranger. I'll let you tie me up. Hell no.
A child was arrested over the weekend after Memphis police say the child reportedly pointed a laser into the cockpit that is, of a police helicopter. That child is 47.
Oh, boy. Of course.
On Friday at 10:30 p.m., a pilot lieutenant with the Tennessee Highway Patrol, who said an unidentified person repeatedly pointed a laser into the cockpit of his helicopter while in flight over the Memphis area, put out all 3 passengers at risk, he said. Troopers on the ground were told the laser beam was coming from a shed behind a home. When they arrived at the scene, they made contact with a man through the window. That man, Eric Price, didn't hesitate. He admitted right there he was the one who pointed the laser at the helicopter. He was arrested, and the FAA said they're not letting this slide. They're sick of this type of behavior, and they're taking it seriously.
Good.
Did they promise?
The FAA works.
What?
No, go right ahead with your audio.
All right.
The FAA works closely with federal, state, and local law enforcement agencies to pursue civil and criminal penalties against people who deliberately aim a laser at an aircraft.
Earlier this year, the FAA launched a campaign to raise awareness about the dangers of laser strikes after seeing a spike in incidents. According to the FAA, pointing a laser at an aircraft isn't just reckless, it's a federal crime and a major safety threat. Last year, pilots reported 13,304 laser strikes. So far this year, there have been 8,863 incidents, with a little over 200 from right here in Minnesota.
It's one of the silliest things there's ever been. And that's the really just sad and pathetic part about it, is it's not 12-year-old kids. It's grown folks playing around with their friggin' laser pointers. It's grown folks doing this.
Yeah, it's been mostly like dudes in their 40s and 50s.
Yeah.
Dorks.
Come on, man. Get tied up on a beach somewhere and have sex with a stranger.
Jesus.
Don't be pointing lasers into airplanes and helicopters.
What are you guys
Bizarre.
doing tonight? Oh, I got a laser. If you want to come over and point it at some airplanes. Check with the wife. Yeah, I'll check with my wife, too. But if she says it's okay, I got a laser over here. We pointed at stuff.
A magical misstep turned a birthday celebration at a Florida restaurant into a not-so-enchanted evening. Fishtails, a quirky eatery nestled inside the Ramada Inn at the oceanfront, was hosting a Harry Potter-themed event, complete with cauldrons and mix-your-own potions. Cool. Guests could choose between alcoholic concoctions for wizards of age or whimsical alcohol-free elixirs for the younger crowd. But a server mistakenly grabbed the wrong vial, and a 7-year-old girl's birthday took a sudden stomach-turning turn. After one sip of what was supposed to be a playful, kid-friendly potion, the young witch found herself slithering her way to the bathroom as Mom held her Harry as she retched into the Potter. To make amends, the well-meaning but mortified server offered to pay the $70 tab, covering the potion kits and the adult drinks, and the owner refunded the family's $25 reservation fee the following morning. They said they will be making some changes to the way they serve their alcohol from now on.
So they accidentally got a 7-year-old drunk or something like that?
Yeah, I guess she got pretty hammered.
Oh.
In recent years, Hollywood's been mining nostalgia to make movies based on beloved childhood toys and games. And following the box office successes of Barbie, Legos, and Super Mario Bros., Apple is developing an action-based comedy on Minnesota's own Oregon Trail.
Oh, God.
Many middle-aged Minnesotans recall virtually hitching oxen to covered wagons in their school computer labs and crossing the American frontier, fording rivers and breaking axles along the way, getting dysentery oftentimes. Oregon Trail was created in 1971 by three 20-something computer geeks finishing up degrees from Northfield's Carleton College. The trio, who were also student teachers, were looking for a way to engage their students in the history of westward expansion. And when Oregon Trail was brought to class, students were instantly hooked. I know I was one of them. I absolutely was addicted to that game. Mm-hmm. And then when it came out for the mobile phones, it's the only time I ever spent a significant amount of money on in-game purchases. I spent like $700.
Oh, man.
I've never even played it. I've only played like the card game.
Oh, I didn't even know there was a card game.
I had no
it
idea.
lasts a really long time.
I don't know what was going on at my school because it should have been, I guess, available, but I've never saw it.
Yeah, oh, really? Yeah, it was so big.
Never. I still to this day I hear people talk about it. I never saw whatever Oregon Trail is.
After graduation, one of them got a job with a statewide program to expand computer access in Minnesota, and they upgraded Oregon Trail, licensing the software around the country, and that's where the game spread like a prairie brush fire.
So you were all over it, huh?
Oh, yeah. Man, I loved it. It's gone through many incarnations over the years, and Apple is closely linked to the most popular version, released in '85 for the Apple II. That version of the game is still playable online on multiple websites and is downloadable as freeware. As for the movie, it's still in early days of the process. The screenplay hasn't even been written yet, but they're billing it as an action comedy. It was on this day in legendary game history 89 years ago in 1935, the game Monopoly was introduced by the Parker Brothers Company, and they're still playing that very first game.
Monopoly.
That game will take a while.
Yeah, and it'll cause some fights, too.
Oh, yeah, I've never been in a Monopoly fight.
I've seen a board get thrown across the room.
Was it over Boardwalk or Park Place?
Then everybody told me to calm down.
You know, in Egan, we've got a whole little neighborhood named after Monopoly streets.
Oh, that's right. I do remember that.
Is that right?
That's
Yeah.
sweet.
That is really cool.
I thought that was pretty cool, too. Odell Beckham Jr. is 32. Robert Patrick, 66. To Addie, if you're listening, I've been told she'll listen to the podcast later. Good luck today getting your adenoids out. She's only 2.5 and very brave. So get well soon and say hi to Dad, not the Rams QB Jesus for us. Happy 11th to Cider Jesus from Mr. Mechanic Jesus. Happy belated birthday to Avery, who turned the big 08 over the weekend from Mugslinging Jesus. And that's 93X News.
Randy Shaver.
You can see how his nice big tentacles that are sticking out, and he's got a rigorous training program, and he loves his green leaves, so we feed him plenty of nice green leaves.
On the Half-Assed Morning Show.
Andrew DePaula had a hand injury that will require a procedure to allow that thing to heal up. Probably is looking like a short-term IR candidate, which will need to potentially have a long snapper in the building.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, we are joined at this time by, of course, Randy Flippin' Shaver. Hello, Randy.
Good morning.
And a man who would have my vote if he were running for office today, entertainer C. Willi Myles. Randy Shaver, no offense, bruh, if you were running for some kind of political gig, I'd have second thoughts because of your temper.
Oh, absolutely. That and my shadiness.
And you're a little shady, a little squirrely at times. C. Willi Myles, I would have no hesitation. How are you?
I'm groovy, man, groovy. Everything's happening.
C. Willi Myles is fresh off a tropical vacation and a visit to Lakeville, Minnesota. Very similar experiences, I would imagine. Yeah.
It's almost mirrored one another.
Yes. You went on vacation to, if I remember how to say this properly, nunchakus. Did I get it right?
So close.
Where did you go on vacation?
Turks.
And
Caicos.
I went to both, huh?
How did you find time for both?
Yeah. Turk de Caicos sounds like a fun restaurant for the family.
Oh, yeah.
Turk de Caicos kind of sounds like a what do they call it in the business? A mark wrestler.
A jobber?
Jobber. That's the term, a jobber. Where, like in the 80s, here would come Hulk Hogan for a Sunday morning event, and he would take on some schmuck who wasn't built really any better than the rest of us, and his name was Turk de Caicos. And Hogan would destroy him within... How was your vacation? It must have been lovely. You love that kind of thing.
You've never been there, man. It's the most beautiful island, and the temperature doesn't change no more than like 5 degrees, like all day, through the night and the day. So if it's 85, it's going to be 80 at night. You wake up, it's already 80.
Had you been there before? I forgot.
I had been there once, but I was on a cruise ship, and I never got off because I was the comedian on Out to Sea. So everybody, all 3,000 people on the boat knew I was a comedian, and you can't leave your room at that point.
Oh, sure.
Because it's just one bad joke after the next. Hey, I got one for you. I got one for you.
Oh, you must hear that a lot.
Yeah.
You didn't leave the cabin because people would annoy the living hell out of you.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, that is one of the biggest pet peeves, I think, for most comedians is that, you hear your show, you get a standing ovation, they love you, and then they got one for you.
Yeah.
So you didn't enjoy what you just heard.
Yeah. Here's how you could improve your show. If you said this or you said that, right.
You're going to give me a joke that doesn't belong to you, and you want me to go on stage and do it. You don't see what's happening here. Is that's illegal in our business.
So when you were in Turks to Caicos, you ate and did you even put a shirt on for the entire? How long were you there?
Barely. I barely had a shirt on, man. It was we were out there for a couple of 12 days.
God,
was this just you and your wife, or did you go?
Actually, was out there. My wife and I was out there for a couple of days, and then a really good friend of ours, Reggie Perkins, and his wife joined us out there. We were all celebrating our anniversaries together, so it was actually
very nice.
Pretty groovy.
Wonderful.
Yeah, we sit on the beach, man. We had cigars. It was a good life.
Anyone start passing around those big fat ass joints?
They were happening.
Yeah,
not on our end of the island. we don't partake.
Sure.
But when you're on an island like that, absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, Jesus texted in and said, Turk to Caicos. It sounds like when Nick's trying to say Kirk Cousins. Yeah. Just a little bit.
He's right. And then Lakeville. You had a show in Lakeville, and everything went. You were telling Josh off air you had a great crowd.
Yeah. I was at the Lakeville Area Arts Center, and I started my third time there. Had a sold-out crowd. Huge crowd from the 93X people, man. Thank you guys so much for coming out. I always appreciate it. I love talking with you. They love bragging about how they listen to the show, And,
we appreciate them a lot as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's
we love
nice.
that they support C Willi Myles.
Yeah, and I love that. And I always tell them that if I'm doing a show and you're there, come up and say hi.
But don't dump a stupid joke on me.
Yeah, don't tell me jokes. Don't say, hey, I got one for you. You can use this. No, I can't.
Right.
I cannot. If you didn't write it, show me the copyright material, hand it to me, then I'll do it.
Sounds like C. Willie's life is going pretty well.
C. Willi cannot complain. I mean, I will. The weather's getting to the point right now. I've already booked. I was telling Dana when we was walking in, I already done booked 3 flights to Arizona. So I checked the 15-day forecast, and then I look at my tour schedule, and then those other dates are just filled in with just flights to Arizona.
During the winter, you get the hell out of here a lot.
Immediately.
You do.
You can't golf.
You go golfing in Arizona.
I want to golf.
You ever smoke those big fat ass joints when you're down there in Arizona?
Just cigars, man. Just a cigar.
When are you going to Florida, Randy? You told us you're going to go to Florida.
I'm actually going twice. I'm leaving, I think, the weekend after Thanksgiving, like we always do for a week, and then later in January.
Get out of here, man.
There's plenty of you that like to get the hell out of here. You guys know I'm not much of a traveler, so yeah, you go ahead. I'm not stopping you. I'll just sit here and suck it up with the rest of the barrel-chested, hardy Minnesotans. I don't like to get on those airplanes, and I don't really think much of tropical beaches and whatnot. That's your thing. No, I never really been thrilled by the whole thing. Josh is the same way. I mean.
Yeah, I'm fine.
Sure,
here.
We've had a good time on occasion.
Fine here.
Yeah,
I do fine here.
I don't like leaving the zip code in.
No, I don't.
I'm getting worse and worse, actually. My wife loves to travel. Absolutely loves it. If she'd move in a heartbeat, if we could move someplace warm, she wants to be on a beach somewhere.
I'm the other way, Josh. Like, the older I get, the more I'm just like, I want to leave. Like, I want to get on a plane. I want to get the heck out of here.
Don't let the door hit you in the ass.
I was thinking about, like, I was looking up flights, and I realized that, like, the cheapest, because I was looking for that time we take off for Christmas, and I saw that, like, the flights were cheap on Christmas Eve. And I asked my boyfriend, I'm like, can I be a D-bag to my family? Like, can we just leave for Christmas? And he vetoed that, but...
Why? I mean, how many Christmases do you need to spend with your family before you just go
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. I mean, you're old enough at this point, Ashley. You don't have to just, yay, Christmas with the... You can go do your own friggin' thing. There are some families who don't like that, but those are those weird families who are a little too close. Go where you want on Christmas. You're grown now.
FaceTime them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'd be sitting on the beach and they're sitting there by the fireplace. You know what I mean?
But Josh and I have mentioned this before. I mean, we both have appreciated a couple of the tropical type trips that we've been on. But really, honestly, I think Josh will agree with this. I'll stand on the beach for 10 minutes. Wow, look at the ocean. Look how pretty it is. And I'm ready to go home at that point.
You know, it's funny you say that because, like, when you brought up Turks and Caicos,
yes,
I looked it up on YouTube and I thought, wow, that is beautiful. I'm good. I saw all the videos on YouTube. They were produced very nicely. I didn't feel like I needed to be there.
It's just never done anything for me. The beaches and the hot weather, it just doesn't. Okay, great, it's there. I'm content here. I really am.
Yeah, me
I think
too.
what happens to me is that I think doing I travel so much, man, and I'm in like Montana, I'm in North Dakota, I'm in Nebraska, I'm in Colorado, I'm in all these different places, and you just want to go somewhere where it's just warm and not so gray.
I
know
get
what
it.
I mean? I want sun. I want a beach. I want to sit back. I want to sit outside and eat some wings.
Yeah,
You know
hell yeah.
what I mean? And I just love that.
Our good friend Janelle, she travels all the time, although sometimes she's miserable about it. Like, she's been out of town for over a month.
Sometimes it's against her will.
Yeah,
Sitting in
she's
a
got a
courtroom.
couple more weeks she's going to be gone. We miss her terribly. And I know she wants nothing more than to be here. 'Cause she's always covering, like, the worst things, right?
Yes, she is.
Oh, my God. Well, what about you, Randy Shaver? If you had your way, would you spend more time here or would you spend more time on the beach with C Willi Myles and that whole gang? Or would
I would definitely spend more time on the beach. I love the beach, and that's what we're going to be doing in December. In December, going to go to Fort Myers, and I'm just going to sit on the beach, and then when we go back down in January for the first time in forever to do a little snowbird. I'm going to spend a lot of time outside and on the beach. And
what if they
whatever.
pass you one of those big fat joints?
Well, let's hope it's not before the show starts.
Yeah, right.
And hope it's not too big.
I'd be all right with that if you wanted to do the show high.
Oh, trust me, I've done this show a few times with not my wits about me. So.
Oh, for Christ's sake, you're far from alone. Far from alone. All right. As you heard in our intro there, tough news. Our brother, Andrew DePaula,
yes,
going to be on the shelf for a little while. He's got himself a hand injury that's going to require surgery. Now, is this directly from the hit? Randy said yesterday on the show that Depot got lit up in that Colts game. Is that where this hand injury comes from?
it might have been. I don't know that for sure. Maybe somebody read exactly what the play was, but I'm pretty sure it was a punt where he just got blown up and knocked backwards. That's the play that I remember. Maybe it was something different. I don't know. I mean, it didn't look like he, in a play like that, I guess I wouldn't have thought it would be a hand injury, but I don't know.
Could have been during warm-ups. He's doing knuckle push-ups. That's been happened.
I don't think it was that.
Did he ever get back to you, Dana? I know you texted him yesterday.
Yeah, he texted me back after Kevin announced the news that he was going to be on the IR. So he just said, it's a bummer, but I'll be back in a couple short weeks, he says.
He'll still join us this week, I'm assuming?
As far as I know, yeah.
Okay.
So they're going to need a fill-in. I wonder how long that call list is for backup.
Oh, I'm sure every team has a go-to list for every position of players that are currently not on a team or maybe on somebody's
practice squad?
Yeah.
Practice squad where they can pull them off a practice squad.
Specifically, I'm wondering how long the call list is for long snappers. It's a rare gig. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but guys,
there's 100 running backs and wide receivers waiting for a phone call. I wonder how many long snappers. Are they just choosing between 5 or 6 guys?
It looks. It's probably the same kind of list. It's probably the same kind of list as a kicker or a punter because there's a lot of those guys, and you don't necessarily have to be on a team to be. I mean, I look at the Packers who picked up the kicker once they dropped Narveson, and they picked up the kicker that they have. I mean, the guy was unemployed and not working. I mean, that happens quite a bit.
A lot of kickers out there. What did you say, Wapple? They're going to go with Garrett Bradbury, the regular center?
Yeah, it looks like he's our backup, but they still might.
Is that for real?
Yeah, but
I'll bet you they sign a long snapper.
Right.
Yeah,
I mean,
I think so.
He's
It looks
just like
they're
an
gonna look
emergency backup.
Yeah, it looks like they're still going to try to find someone.
I bet you Andrew DePaulo would be insulted if Garrett Bradbury. He's like, hey, dude, you don't know. You're not a real long snapper. You're just a boring regular snapper. I mean, Depot's an all-pro, by God.
Right.
And maybe even this club, the Vikings, are going to need a backup kicker to show up. That Willie Reichard has a
unfortunately
quad injury that he flamed up on him during that Colts game. So there's a possibility for the next couple of weeks, 2/3 of their kicking battery will be short-term fellows that they're pulling out of the subways, pulling out of the neighborhood bar to work for the Vikings for a couple of weeks.
You remember that you never really worried about those two people ever getting hurt?
Right.
No one ever was concerned about your long snapper.
Right.
Like
Or
no
the
one
kicker.
ever knew that guy until Mike Morris showed up.
Yeah, no one really worries about the kicker getting hurt.
Cared. No one cared. He's like the most famous long snapper.
Yeah, he's not.
Yeah, but what we've learned about those guys is those guys are really valuable.
Yes.
I mean, long snappers, you think about the key parts of games, a game-winning field goal or a critical extra point, or you're deep in your own territory and you've got to punt out of the end zone. Those guys become, I mean, there's a microscope on that group, whether it's the kicker, the punter, or the snapper. So,
absolutely,
you're right. Those positions were never really in the spotlight before, but I think they are now because it's such a critical. Those are critical parts of the game now. Yeah. So.
What we learned about Mike Morris many years ago is that he's terrible at determining the age of a fellow human being. And this is one of the best stories ever. That was Mike Morris, wasn't it,
yes,
Josh?
It was. Well, he's also a very sweet man. We learned that at the same time.
Yes, he is.
At the exact same time.
This was at one of Randy Shaver's cancer charity golf tournaments many years ago, 20 years ago probably, right, Josh?
At least.
We were young
if
bucks.
If not a couple of years more.
We were young bucks, maybe even more than 20 years ago. And Randy invited Mike Morris to be one of the big goofs that goes out there and golfs. Hey, look, I'm an athlete, right? That's the draw. And so Mike Morris is out there golfing. Josh and I decide to pull over and say hello to him. I think maybe he was golfing with Pete Bursich, maybe, and we knew Pete at the time.
Yeah, and he was on KFAN at the time, so we were saying hi to a fellow radio individual.
Oh, I always hate that. But anyway. Saying hi to a fellow radio individual. I hate that. So we walk up on Mike Morris, and he wasn't fully paying attention, I don't think, but we're like, hey, Mike, come over here real quick. And he comes over. And Josh, you were very young. We were both younger, quite a bit younger. And you had your little hat off and your little bald head.
Yep.
And Mike, and you were at the time, you had to have been at least like 25 years old, 26, 27, 8.
Yeah, maybe 25 or 6. Yep.
Mike Morris, and this was all a good-hearted mistake that he made, of course, he thought Josh was like a cancer survivor.
I am slight in stature.
Yes.
Yet hung.
He wasn't fully listening when we were saying, hey, dude, we wanted to say hi. We're this guy and that guy from this other radio show. He thought Josh was like a 12-year-old sick kid. Mm-hmm. And he shook my hand and then gave Judge has nothing to do. Gave Josh this massive hug.
It's the best hug I've ever had.
And hey, little fella, I hope everything goes all right. Thanks for coming. And we thought, at first we were confused.
Yeah, because we'd never met him before.
Right.
And I thought, does he think I'm somebody else?
Josh thought maybe Mike had mistaken you for somebody. And then as we're walking away, Josh says, oh, Christ, he thought I was a cancer kid.
Yeah. And I felt super guilty.
Yeah.
Like, well, do we say something to him? Do we not?
There's nothing we can say.
Yeah, you can't give that hug back.
No.
It really was the best hug I've ever had. And you're if for some reason he hears this story, thank you, Mike Morris. You're a very, very kind and caring person.
Good hugger.
Heck yeah, he is.
Great guy. So I met, I've met him several times, but I ran into him. He worked at the Lifetime that I belonged to in Savage. And I'm in there. I go in there a lot, work out, and he was personal trainer. And he wanted to help me work out. And I'm like, no thanks. He goes, well, just you want to work on your chest? I said, just a skosh, I said, just, And he goes over and grabs some free weights, and he was coming back with 55 pounders. I'm like, dude, like I'm just a comedian.
Yeah,
I'm a comedian.
I'm not looking to make the Olympic team.
Right. I played, but I know you remember me talking, and we was talking about college ball. We were at one of those celebrity golf bits,
Yeah.
and it's like, but no, I don't do that no more. I'm I'm old. And I'm just here doing like the rubber band thing. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to
just get the heart rate up just a little bit.
I'm excited when I can move from the pink to the purple weights.
He was just telling me, he started feeling on my arms and stuff. Yeah, I can fix that.
Fix that.
Bet you can.
Randy Shaver here. I got something for you that'll get you tearing at your fly. You love trade deadline talk, Randy Shaver. You do. Here's the headline from the St. Paul Pioneer Press sports page. The Vikings owe it to themselves to be buyers today. The trade deadline.
I think you've already been a buyer in picking up the left tackle. So I'm not sure.
That was a necessity, really, wasn't it? That was
well, it was for sure, and they certainly did a great job in replacing Darisaw with Robinson. But I'm not sure what else they're looking for. I mean,
well, I have something here for you. You tell me what you think of this. I have something here for you. Folks are saying, the insider type dorks that hang around the locker room all day long. They're saying the team should go for it. They're off to a great start. Now it's just a matter of filling a gap or two. So they're looking, these insiders, they think the Vikings should look for a player that can put pressure on the opposition's quarterback. They mentioned a Tennessee Titans defensive tackle who goes by the name of Jeffrey Simmons. And they say that will put their pass rush over the top, C. Willi Myles and Randy Shaver, over the top.
But, I guess that's probably makes some sense. They've got to. Their defensive line actually has been better than what most people thought it was going to be this year.
All right.
I don't think they have any significant injuries in the line, so maybe they're talking about just adding depth. I saw where the Lions, I think, signed or the Browns traded Zadarius Smith to Detroit.
I didn't even know he was still in. I didn't know he was still in the league. To be honest with you. Zadarius Smith.
Yep.
Yep, to try to help their defensive line because of the injury to Hutchinson. Again, Nick, it's easy to say let's do this and do that if you have a lot of trade collateral. But I'm not sure what the Vikings have.
Well, Addison
to be able to give up.
We've been talking about Addison.
Mm-hmm.
Did I read this wrong? Jeffrey Simmons is the guy the Vikings are supposed to go for. Listeners are saying maybe they should go for Ron Simmons. Do you know Ron Simmons? Okay, WWF guy.
Yeah.
Damn. The New Orleans Saints. You're right, Randy Shaver. It's a matter of what you have to give in trade, but just wanted to throw that idea at you that plenty of the folks who follow the Vikings every single day say, now's the time, strike while the iron's hot, fill this one particular need, and then you have a team that can possibly battle for a, God, I'm going to say it, a Super Bowl title. A Super Bowl title, C. Willi Myles. Do you think if the Vikings added a little something to their pass rush, your opinion, C. Willi Myles, being a big football guy, are they a Super Bowl caliber football club?
No.
No.
Well, why do both of you say no so quickly?
I just don't think that's. I mean, adding one other player to support their defensive line is not going to make you a Super Bowl contender. It's just not.
Okay.
I look.
What are they missing? Who is the?
Well, I look at a team like the Detroit Lions right now.
Right, they're beating everybody's ass.
Who have a franchise quarterback.
Right.
They have two incredible running backs that provide both power and speed. They've got, an all-pro wide receiver.
Okay.
They've got a really strong defense. They just seem to have all the pieces in place, and right now they're healthy, which every team needs to continue to be if they want to have a chance to win regular season games, let alone playoff games.
The Detroit Lions look like the total package right now. There's no question about it.
I don't think there's any question they're the best team in the NFC right now. I'm not saying the Vikings can't get there. They're 6-2. They're only a game back, but I just don't. I don't feel the same about them as I look at Detroit.
That's what you're saying. Also, C. Willi Myles, the Vikings are a good team, but they're not Super Bowl caliber.
Our problem is that you got to have clutch corners, and you got to have dynamic linebackers and a superb pass rush on defense. That's three things you need. You're going to be in the Super Bowl.
Okay.
On offense, you got to have a clutch running back. You need three receivers. You need a tight end. And you got to have a franchise quarterback. You just can't go to the Super Bowl with, look, no one's afraid of the Vikings. Let's put it that way. You play the Vikings and you play to beat them, or they're going to beat you.
No one's afraid
of them.
So let's say somehow, some way, once the playoffs start, someone takes out the Detroit Lions. What's another NFC team that you both feel are just clearly superior to the Vikings?
I'd say Washington right now.
I like that kind of talk.
I would say Washington right now. They've got some, certainly Jaden Daniels has proven himself so far to be a franchise-type quarterback, but their defense is really good. Terry McLaurin's an outstanding receiver. They've got some good pieces. They're not quite at the Lions level.
All right.
But they're pretty good. And I know the 49ers are struggling right now, but
I've had enough of that crap.
Yeah. That's a team that
sucks.
You sit here and you're watching, and I wouldn't count them out.
The 49ers suck, C. Willi Myles?
Absolutely.
I wouldn't count them out.
The Lions just made a trade today, too, about a half hour ago. They traded for pass rusher Zadarius Smith.
Oh, no.
I just said that.
Dana, we just got done talking about that.
You really?
I just said that.
He was sleeping.
For Christ's sake.
I was busy trying to find the tweet.
Tell him again, Josh. Tell him again how much fun this show would be if he would just listen to it once.
Yeah, you got Randy.
Randy and C. Willi.
You got C. Willi Myles.
Is that right? Is that what the Lions did, Dana? Did they trade for Zadarius Smith or whatever his name is?
I was scrolling backwards trying to find the dang tweet, and I just made an ass of myself.
Yeah, it happens. Don't worry, we've all been there before. We should talk about Andrew DePaula and what's going on with him.
What happened to him?
So
somebody text in on, trying to get somebody to replace Andrew DePaula. They say Trevor Bauer is available.
Of course, he always is.
That text I think we get almost daily,
yes,
no matter
we do.
the topic.
I get it, Dana. You was scrubbing the internet looking for information, and then you didn't
scrolling
hear it.
through like 9,000 political tweets trying to find Tom Pelissero's tweet about this Zadarius Smith.
Well, what do? Take your headphones off and put in a satellite radio or something? You can't still hear what's happening while you're anyway. So neither Randy Shaver nor C. Willi Myles take the Vikings seriously as a Super Bowl contender. That's
well. I'm not saying I'm not going to take them seriously. I'm just saying I don't put them at the same level
as fair enough.
As Detroit and Washington right now.
Words in our mouth, man.
The New Orleans. I wasn't trying to put. The New Orleans Saints gassed their head coach, a character by the name of Dennis Allen. They got a wonderful 7-game losing streak cooking right now.
Yeah, they waited.
Remember when they smoked Dallas to start the season?
Yes.
Yeah.
I looked at that score in that game and I went, oh my God, are they for real? Well, obviously they're not. They've lost 7 in a row. So
the first 2 games of the season, the New Orleans Saints outscored their opponents 91-29.
Yeah.
And they haven't won since, and last Sunday they lost to Carolina. So that was it for whoever Dennis Allen is.
Well, they just need to blow that whole thing up. The Saints they're a disaster.
No quarterback in NFL history has ever lost a game to all 32 teams in the league. But Saints quarterback Derek Carr will have the chance. Now, this is kind of unfair. Of course, there are a lot of quarterbacks who wish they would have stuck around long enough and started enough games to lose to half of the league. This is kind of a cheap shot towards Derek Carr. Obviously, he has something to offer if he's been around this long and starting for this long to where he has the chance to lose to all 32 teams. So when losing to Carolina last weekend, that was the 31st team that Derek Carr has lost to. He has a chance to hit all of them on December 29th when the Saints and the Raiders face off against each other, and I'd like to see that one.
Wow.
I don't think Derek Carr will be playing quarterback for the Saints in late December. I just don't think that's going to happen.
They have someone waiting in the wings?
I just don't think that. I think they will have moved on from Derek Carr.
Yeah,
C. Willi says they'll hand that gig to anybody.
Look, man, you're talking about a guy that's been around for a while. Derek Carr has been, and look, I'm going to say this with my whole chest. This is the most average quarterback I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
He's never
Come on, there's got to be someone more average than that.
Average.
I can't.
There's got to be someone more. Kurt Cousins is even more.
I would say Kirk Cousins is a couple of levels above that for sure.
But he's super average.
All right, so Kirk Cousins is super average.
And this
Derek Carr is just average.
Look, man,
what about Sam Darnold?
I think Sam Darnold, it just needs to be with the right squad.
Is he average or above average?
I think he's above average.
Yeah. Above average, okay.
I think he's above average quarterback. I really do. I always like Sam. I just think it's just a matter of sometimes getting you in the right system. And Carr has been in some systems.
I can't believe he's been around for 9 years already.
Yeah.
I will say this about Atlanta and Kirk Cousins. The fit seems to be a good fit.
Yeah.
And they're playing good football. They've got a great running back. They've got a decent core of receivers. And their defense has surprisingly been pretty good. So I wouldn't count out Atlanta as being a team that doesn't have a chance to do something this season. I think they're a sneaky team.
They've never won anything.
The Atlanta Falcons?
Period.
Right.
Well, that's not true. They went to the Super Bowl.
We saw what happened there. They've done nothing since, Randy. You're talking to a kid who grew up between Louisiana and Georgia. I grew up in Alabama. I rooted for both of those teams all as a kid, and they never won anything for 18 years.
All right, now we're going to lose some of the younger people, but I got to ask C. Willi Myles, was Steve Bartowski average or above average?
He was a good quarterback, but I couldn't tell you then because when he was playing, I was a kid.
Yeah,
and I couldn't tell you what was a good quarterback or average. But
Fair
from
enough.
what I knew,
Fair enough.
He was decent.
The only thing I'll say about that is, C. Willi, from 1980 until now, the Falcons have gone to the Super Bowl and the Vikings have not.
That's true.
So you would also say the Vikings never won anything.
But the Vikings went four times.
They went 4 times. That's right.
So
that has to count for something.
4 second place times. They got 4 second place.
Yeah.
This team's got 1. And
Crystal,
it was horrible.
Crystal Chandelier, otherwise known as Chris Chandler. Was he average or above average or below average?
Chris Chandler. But I always thought he was a great average. Great.
3 greats for Chris Chandler?
Absolutely.
Randy Shaver said average.
I'd say average.
Why would you say that about Chris Chandler?
I loved his nickname, Crystal Chandelier.
That is good.
Because of
just that name alone.
All right. C. Willi Myles just mentioned his Alabama background. That's where he comes from. Damn it, Josh, I forgot. What was the high school football team we were talking about yesterday from Alabama that's the losingest high school football team of all time? Was it
I forgot
Columbia?
the name, but it was like 92 losses, right? Somewhere in that. I'll look that up.
Look it up. Thank you very much. Yesterday we were talking about a high school football team in Alabama who lost all of their games this season, so now it's official. They are the losingest high school football program in the history of the game.
Columbia
I think they have the longest current losing streak.
Longest current. Well, but that makes them the worst of all time. They've lost 91 games in a row all the way back to 2015. Columbia, do you recognize the neighborhood?
Where is it?
Let me see if it says here.
The reason I bring it up, of course, I wanted to in Huntsville, Alabama. I bring it up, of course, because you're an Alabama guy. But I wanted to ask because we got some great text messages yesterday on guys texting in saying, "Man, my high school team was so bad," this happened and that happened. Or some said my high school football team was so good. Where did your team? Did your team? Was it a successful program you played for? Very successful.
Yeah.
Won state titles.
Yep.
You did.
Yeah.
Multiple?
Multiples.
Well, you were there.
Oh yeah.
What a pimp.
Yeah. We were good, man. We were the Central Wildcats.
Central what?
Central
Wildcats.
Yeah. We were. Yeah, I don't want to get into it, but we was those. I went to school when we integrated, so we were like. You remember the movie? Remember the Titans?
Never saw it, but I know the movie.
That was our school, where they merged a white school and a black school together.
That was about your school.
Well, it wasn't about our school, but we think it was.
Okay.
Literally mirrored our school.
Oh, really?
And how it happened and how our football team came together. And
What
blah,
years
blah,
did you
blah,
win it all? What years did you win it all?
76, 75, 6, 7, and 8.
God help us all. I mean, I knew you were a ball player. I didn't know you. For Christ's sake.
I wasn't there for those years, but I was there the last 2.
I wanted to read this. I hung on to this text from yesterday. It showed up after we had gone off the air. And returning to the conversation we had yesterday about great high school football teams, bad ones. Now, I believe the all-time worst losing streak in Minnesota history, we talked about it yesterday, a town called Glenville down by Albert Lea. I think, if I remember correctly, at one point or another, they lost 70 consecutive high school football games.
Wow.
Got a text message from a dude who played on one of those teams. He said, I was a member of the 81-82 Glenville football team, and that was right in the middle of their losing streak. Streak is how you say it, losing streak.
Mm-hmm.
Dude says, we lost to Morristown High School 2-0.
Oh. What? Safety?
The only play, a safety.
Obviously it was a safety. This is 42 years ago. 42 years ago, and the guy texted in, okay? I was a member of the 81-82 Glenville football team. We lost to Morristown 2-0. We had a touchdown pass called back on a holding call. 42 years later, I still remember who threw the ball, who caught the ball, and who the holding penalty was on.
Wow. Wow. You covered that game, Shaver?
I was working in Austin during the time of that losing streak. So for the fall of, actually 2 falls, the fall of 81 and the fall of 82, I was down there. Yeah.
We played a school. Those are dangerous schools. So we played a school called Chatham, and we were 8-0, and they were 0-8, and literally we beat them by 1 touchdown. I mean, they were so. I mean, they
did you take them
so
lightly?
bad. No, man, they were a good football team. It's just that
tough luck football team.
They always just lost by like a last drive and we always thought it was just their coach, man. He just, for some reason or another, he couldn't call that last final play.
They must have hated you flashy multiple state champion bastards over there in Chanticleer, whatever the hell you said the name of your town was.
Yeah, but we weren't even the best school. We were probably like one of the top, I would say 10 schools in, like Charles Barkley went to one of the best high schools in Alabama at Lee High School. And but other than that, and then Grand Bay, and then there was like several other schools like Murphy, like where they got a lot of football players that came out of there that went straight.
So kind of like Alabama's version of Cretan, maybe.
Exactly.
Or
yeah.
Did you guys get a lot of chicks?
We weren't bad.
Yeah.
We weren't bad. I didn't partake in that. I had 9 older sisters, and you just don't bring girls home.
No, you do not.
Your sisters would have torn them to shreds.
Ripped them.
Yeah.
Doesn't care what she looked like, how smart she was. They would have destroyed her just to put her in a place, and I don't know what place that is.
Was your wife intimidated when she found out that news?
About my
How many sisters you had?
No, my wife grew up with 5 older brothers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
she was happy to have some female company.
Baby. She's the girl, and she has 5 older brothers, so she knew how to. She wasn't gonna be scared of her brothers, but she was afraid of my one sister, Vivian. That was the one.
Everyone was scared of Vivian.
Vivian was the intimidator in our house. She was the Terminator, the Intimidator. She was the enforcer. My sister Vivian was a girl that, like, if I was gonna get in a fight, and I was not a fighter at that time, I would always tell my buddies, no matter what happened, before we get into this fight, you need to let them know that Vivian is my sister.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll take it from there.
Yeah.
Because if someone find out that you're about to fight Vivian's little brother, it's going to be hell to pay.
And that was a mind F right there. So your fight opponent knew, okay, even if I beat C Willie's ass, then I got to deal with Vivian.
Exactly.
And
so
she'll rip somebody's
I don't care
guts.
if Vivian, my sister, I act bad then.
Yeah.
Let's do this. And then they'd be like, nah, you know what? Next time, boy. Next time, boy. And I'll be like, no, let's do this.
Yeah.
Knowing, my buddy's not going to let me fight anyway, because they're going to tell everybody that Vivian's my sister. I'll say, what'd you tell them that for?
That's awesome.
You fight Vivian, and then the eyes fell out.
Everyone needs a Vivian.
Yeah.
Because that happened one time. I got jumped one time. I lived in a rough neighborhood. I grew up in the projects. And I got jumped one time, and they found out I was Vivian's sister, and the dude had to go live with his aunt.
He had to go live with his aunt?
Yeah.
Just out of fear of Vivian? He chose to go live with his aunt.
He left town.
Yeah, he left town.
My sister was like mob, man.
That's awesome.
I know, I love her. She passed away this year.
Oh,
very sorry to hear that.
Sorry to hear that. C Willi Myles. The Timberwolves just straight up beat the living hell out of the Charlotte Hornets last night. I'm proud to say it was my creation, my contribution to the Wolves in the NBA, Naz Reid, who stole the show. He had 25 points, 5 for 7 shooting from the three-point line. He also snatched down 9 rebounds and was just his overall natural pimp self out there on the court. Timberwolves beat the Hornets by 21 points.
Yeah.
Most importantly, they shot the ball very well last night, especially from the three-point line.
Mm-hmm.
Most importantly, though, they limited their turnovers, which always bones that ball club when they start throwing it out of bounds like a bunch of drunks. They limited their turnovers, and they played defense the best I've seen them play so far this year. So maybe this is a sign that the boys are getting dialed in. They'll play at the Chicago Bulls on Thursday night. They always seem to get pumped by the Bulls. So we'll see how that turns out. What the hell was going on with that blonde gal sitting in the stands at the Denver Nuggets game the other night?
And why was she so good at that?
She
Randy
looks like
Shaver.
she's had practice.
Oh, yeah.
Is this up on our website?
Yes, it is.
Randy Shaver, C Willi Myles. Have you seen the blonde gal sitting in the stands at the Denver Nuggets game the other night?
I have not, no.
Look this up.
Was she sitting next to another girl? I think I saw a clip of it.
Yeah, she was. And she looks like your average mom, this particular girl, and she has a very unique talent.
Everyone should check this out. Does she not know how the internet works? I mean, she had to go to work the next day. So here's the story. A fully grown lady was put up on the big screen there at the Nuggets game. And when she noticed herself up there, how do you say it, up there, she cut loose with some over-the-top, old-school BJ hand gestures like she was a damn 7th grader.
And she went both sides, two-handed.
Yep. Switching sides.
So now that evil-ass social media has gotten a hold of this video, I imagine she regrets the living hell out of this. I don't know how you go to work the next day. Maybe she had a buzz on and just forgot how things work nowadays. I don't know.
I think it's funny. I wouldn't really care if somebody caught me doing that on camera.
Wait, hold up.
I know.
Lady, man. Oh, ma'am.
She's using both hands. Oh, but Ashley, consider you don't have this gig.
Yeah.
This gig here, Ashley, you said you wouldn't be embarrassed by that. Okay, I get it. But imagine you're going to an office job. Imagine
you're a banker.
She's a teacher.
You're a teacher, a corporate.
I've worked at a bank before and stuff like that. I don't know. I wouldn't really care. I'd be like, yeah, I did it to be funny.
She's definitely going to be looked at a little differently.
Little bit.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe her husband will be looked at a little differently because if she needs 2 hands, that's impressive.
That's a fair point.
That's the first thing I thought is, who has she been with where she needs 2 hands?
To me, though, I see. At the very end, you're right. There was 2 hands.
Right.
But it seemed like there was 2 other guys there than Ashley.
A couple of guys, yeah.
Oh.
These are some of the most over-the-top BJ gestures that I've ever seen. And another thing you got to consider, Ashley, is a lot of folks might can your ass for that.
Oh, yeah, I forget. Some people don't like that kind of stuff, huh?
What if she's a pastor?
Oh, my gosh. I hope not. They're not supposed to act like that.
I don't know.
Why do we have like 75 more men in the congregation today than usual?
I have high hopes that this lady keeps her job and can walk out the house without feeling wildly embarrassed by this. I don't know.
Well, and think about if she's a mom and has kids.
Whoa. Without a doubt, that goes without saying. Twitter mentioned that, right? The Twitter dorks, the 8th graders and the social media psychos. They said, that's somebody's mother. Welcome to the internet where things last forever.
I think there was a daughter sitting next to her.
Oh, could have been. And like her mom, it looked like sitting next to her.
Right.
Okay, I guess now that I've thought about it, if that was like my mother in like her job, not even like thinking about how she's my mom would be absolutely devastated if something like that went viral. So, I can get it now.
Right. Maybe she was auditioning. Who knows? We don't know.
Here's the black couch.
The Pigs and Los Angeles Kings, those two clubs are scheduled to go ahead and get it on tonight at the XL Energy Center. Starts at 7 o'clock. Television coverage will be handled by, what do they call them again? The FanDuel Network. A few familiar faces on the Kings roster. That Kevin Fiala. There was a point in time, Josh, where Kevin Fiala, just for a minute, he thought he was actually better looking than Zach Parise. He was wrong. Darcy Kemper is their goalkeeper. Who would have ever thought that?
God, he's still around. Oh my
Who would
God.
have thought that he would last this long? I remember the first couple times. The first couple times I saw Darcy Kemper play a goaltender in a National Hockey League game, I thought, who is this kid fooling? He just did not look the part. Good for him. He's 35 years old now. He won a cup a few years ago, didn't he, with Colorado or somebody? I can't remember. Darcy Kemper is still over there.
So is Fiala the guy when we asked Zach Parise about the handsomeness? Zach said he just didn't get it? And he kind of seemed like, I'm tired of hearing this was his attitude. Like, I don't understand it.
That is exactly how Zach came off. Someone brought up how cute Kevin Fiala is, and Zach just straight up said, look, enough of that. I don't get it. He's not that freaking good looking.
Get it.
Yeah, you could tell he was just tired of hearing it.
Yep. I don't see it, Zach said. And he's right. Kevin Fiala is ugly.
He's not ugly.
Ugly person. Oh, God. All right. That ought to do it for us, Randy Shaver. You did solid work as usual. What are you laughing about?
You pitched hit real nice.
Why can't
I was just average.
No way, Shave. You're always above average.
Above average.
You're that B+ guy.
That's right. Thanks, Randy Shaver. We'll wrap with you tomorrow.
Sounds good.
Coming up next here on the program, we'll have more with C Willi Myles.
There's a douchiness to them. The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
It is that time of the year at Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. Winter's arrived, and with the holidays around the corner, it's the perfect time for Standard Heating's Black Friday Comfort Countdown specials. And right now is the time to become a Smart Club member and get your furnace in top shape before winter comes. Schedule your tune-up, boost your indoor air quality, or grab huge deals on a new system. Do not wait. Visit standardheating.com today. Comfort you deserve since 1930.
O'Shea Jackson Jr. and TJ Jefferson bring their unique take on sports entertainment with no contest wrestling. With guests like Swerve Strickland.
Why do you use staples like sensu beans, man? No, it was just something, the concept I came up with. It's an instrument used to punish. It was just finding those common items. If you see them, you automatically think back to me in that moment. So it's one of those things I wanted to just implement in like my whole character, being the most dangerous man in AEW.
The No Contest Wrestling Podcast, part of the Rich Eisen Podcast Network, wherever you listen.
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
They got their heads up their ass.
On 93X.
C Willi Myles, entertainer C Willi Myles is in studio with the Half-Assed Morning Show. It is 8:30. That's 2 days in a row. I think we've hit her right on the nuts. She's a Tuesday morning. So C Willi, you are fresh off a wonderful tropical vacation.
Tropical.
Mm-hmm.
It's really what you would call that, too, man.
12 days, you said.
It was beautiful.
In Turks and Caicos. Hadn't heard of it until you spit it out of your yap a couple weeks ago. C Willi Myles, what do you make of? What do you think of Hawaii? You been there?
I told you how much we love. My wife and I went there almost 9 years in a row.
I don't know. I'm sorry, I forgot that you had mentioned.
That was my premier vacation spot.
Have you been to all the islands at this point?
We've been to Honolulu, we've been to Kauai, we've been to Maui.
All right.
I've only been to Honolulu. That was my first time on a plane
Is that right?
I went to Oahu.
That's a great trip, man.
I know.
Yeah,
a buddy of mine's dad was a travel agent, and he flew 4 of us from Minnesota to come see his son. Moved in with him in right outside of Honolulu, and he flew 4 of us down for his birthday for a month, for his 21st birthday. It's the first place I ever went, and so I loved it. I thought, I was like, my goodness, everything's beautiful. Everywhere you look, it's beautiful. And everyone's like, yeah, Oahu sucks. Maui's where you want to go. And I thought, how could this suck? And how much better could Maui actually be?
We went to Kauai first, and truth be told, it's a beautiful. That's the greenest island. But
you could be a tour guide over there.
They roll up the sidewalks like at 6:30, man. It's done. It's shut down.
What island is this?
Kauai.
Kauai.
Yeah, so it's all locally owned. Like there's no franchise, nothing over there. So it's just mom and pop joints, and you're done at 6:30. There's nothing to do after 6:30. We had a reservation at a restaurant one time, like at 7:15, because we were young.
Yeah.
You know, we wanted to stay out and have fun all day and then go to dinner. We walked in the restaurant. We were the only 2 people. And they just looked at us and we walked in like, who are you people?
It's a sleepy little spot.
Yeah, but it's beautiful though. We had a great time. But then we started going to Maui. And then we went to Maui, and we went there so much we got a timeshare. Mm-hmm. And we went there every year. And I didn't see any need to go anywhere else.
I also have been to Maui. I thought it was wonderful, even though, as I established earlier, I don't really give 2 pumps about tropical beaches and oceans and things, but I still thought Maui was pretty cool. Josh, didn't you lose your virginity when you were in Hawaii?
No.
No?
I lost it before that. I went skinny dipping with the Canadian volleyball team.
That's right.
But nothing happened. We met them at this luau, and they had never heard of Minnesota. They had no idea what Minnesota was.
See, I don't believe that.
Yeah,
I had a little trouble believing that, too.
There's no way you can be. These were 17, 18-year-old kids?
No, early 20s.
Of course they had heard of Minnesota.
Yeah, they claimed they never did. So, yeah.
They were trying to get you guys to leave, I guess.
I got nothing.
Nothing.
One thing I remember a lot about the Strip, though, there in Honolulu, Waikiki, right? That's what it's called? The prostitutes.
Oh.
Holy heck, there's a lot of prostitutes on that Strip.
Because there's a lot of movies being shot over there.
Well, I don't know. I'll tell you what. I felt like some of the Japanese tourists, those businessmen-looking guys, like I almost felt bad for them because they would not leave them alone. They were all over them.
Hookers.
People said that about Vegas. I never saw that. I saw people handing out like the cards. Get your prostitute at this phone number.
Yeah.
But in Waikiki, they were all over the place.
Because in Vegas, it's legal.
Yeah, you don't see them on the street. They're all busy.
Yeah, I suppose, right.
They're working.
You can go somewhere.
They got cards.
The reason I bring up Hawaii, maybe you folks will enjoy this. So on Reddit, they call it Reddit. This was a fun little gimmick going around a couple days ago. It says here, people getting off planes in Hawaii immediately get a lei. They still do that?
I've seen it in all the movies.
Yeah, I heard that. It happens more at like the smaller airports.
I mean, I remember they did it to the Bradys. People getting off planes in Hawaii immediately get a lei. If this same tradition applied to the rest of the United States, what would each state immediately give to its visitors?
Tater tot hot dish for us.
Yeah, I was going to say some sort of hot dish.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Just a huge thing of hot dish.
Here's your cup of hot dish. Hold your hands out.
Iowa, they get corn.
Yeah, there's probably a few states you get some corn. I would think maybe you'd get a backhanded compliment here in Minnesota, too, when people say how passive-aggressive we are.
Yeah. Oh, you know what? You're actually pretty attractive for your size.
Yeah.
Right.
We heard a coworker say that. It was awful.
Oh, my
absolutely
God.
awful. He said that to a girl.
Yes, he did.
And the look on her face is heartbreaking.
And he was such a clueless moron, he had no idea. I think in some situations he meant and he knew he was being nasty, but in others he did not.
Totally agree.
Because he was just a dumb bastard.
He did some of that on purpose. And he was even more crass than that, than what Nick said.
He said to some gal, isn't this what he said to her? He said, if you lost a few pounds, you'd be really good looking.
He started out by saying, you're really pretty for a fat girl.
Oh my gosh, somebody would get stabbed.
And then he followed it up with, if you lost some more pounds, you'd be drop dead gorgeous.
Is that true? Is that really true? We get that label passive aggressive. Do you guys all think that's really true?
I don't travel enough to know how common that is. You do. You travel all the time, so you know.
Yeah, it is.
You think it's
Minnesota's very passive.
Passive aggressive. Okay.
Yeah.
So again, if you get off a plane in Hawaii and you get a lei, if we went through that same tradition in all the other states in our union, what would each state immediately give to its visitors? Now, Minnesota was talked about, of course. Not everybody was talked about because not everybody's that friggin' interesting, but Minnesota was mentioned in this Reddit article, and they went along with a huge pan of hot dish and a winter coat.
Exactly.
Would be. Let's add maybe a hockey puck. And how about like a big barrel of mosquito repellent? Would that?
Yeah.
Would that cover all the stereotypes
that will
and all?
cover it up.
Maybe a second place sports trophy.
That's not bad. Runner up.
Yep. Maybe a fishing pole. That might be somewhat decent.
Oh, you got to be good to do a fishing rod for you. Yeah, because
Ice house.
They're handing you a fish house.
Oh, that's awesome.
My God.
Rental cars are going to be packed.
North and South Dakota. It said here, North and South Dakota, they should hand you an activity book so you actually have something to do while visiting those two places.
A puzzle book.
It kind of seems like South Dakota has a lot going on. People like to travel. I mean, you got your Sturgis, you got your Deadwood, you got your Mount Rushmore.
Oh, Deadwood is so awesome.
For North Dakota, like a cup of oil. I saw a lot of people mention that.
Oh, yep, that's perfect.
Yeah, here's some oil for you.
They do get their asses whooped, North Dakota and South Dakota, up and down for being boring. That's the label that they wear day in, day out, that they're just friggin' boring, and there's just nothing to see.
Yeah, once you get, I think anything west of Fargo, once you're outside of Fargo, you're just in no man's land. And there's nothing between Sioux Falls and Rap City, man.
There's bodies
nothing.
out there.
Yeah, don't think about calling the cops. They're not coming to help
They
you.
ain't coming. They got to be on their way somewhere.
I'm on the fence. I like isolation, but not for too long. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I also love civilization.
All right.
The folks up in North Dakota and South Dakota, I wonder if they take it personally when constantly the narrative is that nothing ever goes on there. Because part of me, I'd be proud of that. Part of me, I'd be proud. Like I said, I like a little bit of. So if I were a no-dacker or a so-dacker, I'd say, yeah, we love nothing. We thrive on nothingness. I love being on my own in the middle of nowhere.
I'm heading up there to Wednesday. I'm in North Dakota for 3 days.
Where?
I got a couple of shows, public shows. I'm going to be in Stanley, and I'm going to be in Crosby, North Dakota. I mean, I'm talking north, man. I got to fly into Williston. I got to fly into Williston, and then still drive an hour to each one of these places.
So you're going to be smack dab in the middle of that no man's land you were just talking about.
Smack dab. That's why I tell you, I've been there, brother. There is nothing.
You've been everywhere.
When I go there, where I'm going to be is the only place to be in that area where I'm going to be.
Mm-hmm. Other than that, it's just dark. There's not a light on as far.
It's just.
So that's why you're perfect for this conversation. Okay, Wisco, what would they hand you when you get off the airplane in Wisconsin? Like
cheese.
Like they do in Hawaii, they give you a leg.
Cheese and beer.
Yeah, beer and a shot.
That's exactly what it says here. It says, at least Reddit came up with this, cheese curds and a Busch Light.
Oh, they love their Busch Light.
I would say the number one text we've gotten on Wisconsin, they all throw in cheese curds, they all throw in beer, and then a lot of them are saying a DWI. You just give you one.
Right, yeah.
Give you one. Just get your first one over with.
Yeah.
I would also add to that, when you get off the plane in Wisconsin, I think it'd be nice if they would hand you a series of mugshots of all the current serial killers that are on the loose in the sticks of Wisconsin.
Yep, they breed them over there.
For whatever reason, they're always pumping out 3-4 serial killers for us.
Really? They are.
I like that. What did someone say? Cheese, beer, and what was the other one for Wisconsin?
DWI.
A DWI ticket.
You just get your first one over with.
Okay, now, again, we're going to need the well-traveled C Willi Myles to help us out with some of these spots, because of course, I know the cliche jokes, but maybe you know a little more. We didn't get to the Iowegians yet. We'll stay in the 5-state area first. The Iowegians didn't make the final cut in this Reddit conversation. But I don't know. What would you say when you get off the plane, if they have an airport in Iowa, what would the Iowegians hand you? Maybe a recipe for maid rights?
I saw, it seemed like a lot of people were saying pork chops.
They like pork chops?
You could get a pork chop in Iowa.
How about maybe a ticket to a high school wrestling event? Don't they love high school wrestling? Maybe a framed picture of John Wayne. Isn't he an Iowegian from way back? Maine. Have you been to Maine?
Corn. Yes.
Maine. For Maine, they say a lobster roll and a ticket back home because there ain't a damn thing to do.
Once you eat the lobster, leave. You can have the lobster roll. You can have the lobster bisque. You can have the clam chowder, and then bust. And you're done.
I love to eat lobster. Not that I'm trying to start a food conversation on this program, because I dislike food conversations, but I just go on record. I'll just lick it up and down. Before, when the server is bringing it to the table, I will lick at it before it's on the table. Ohio must be notorious.
Never had lobster. Never once.
Wow.
Do you not like that kind of thing?
Not really. Just not really my thing.
Well, then pass yours my way.
Really?
Never had lobster, Cubby says. Ohio must be notorious for their police, because they say when you get off the airplane in Ohio, they should hand you a Buckeye necklace and a speeding ticket.
Yep.
Cops are notorious out that way?
I got a speeding ticket in Ohio.
Cincy and Cleveland. I won't go back to Cleveland.
Why won't you go back to Cleveland?
It's a long story.
It's
got a warrant.
It involved I called the cops on the cops.
You had to call them.
I was on my way back to my hotel room. This is a true story. And an unmarked car pulled behind me. I was speeding. I knew he was going to pull me over, but I didn't really want to get a ticket. So I called 911 and said, "Hey, I'm a comedian. I just finished my show. I'm on my way back to the hotel, and the car is following me." And I said, "There's some guys yelling at me as I was leaving the comedy club." All of a sudden, the police car pulled up behind the car that was following me. And then the cops behind me turned his lights on, and then the cops turned their lights on. And they pulled me over, and the guy said, "You knew I was a cop?" I said, "I had no idea, sir." And then this speed this whole story up because it's long. I wound up getting a ticket anyway. And so I had to go back to Cleveland to do a show for Kroger's. Like, they had this big convention. So
the supermarket?
Like a corporate show?
Right. So I was going back that next week. And that's when my show up to go to court, the traffic court, to, contest the ticket. So I did, and I wound up just going to court. I was there anyway. So, and the judge thought that I flew in from Minnesota just to fight the ticket.
Oh, Christ!
And she said, if you're paying, she said, "How much was your ticket?" I said, "It was $277." She said, "And you staying overnight?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'm staying over at the Omni." And she goes, "You got a hotel and you're staying just to fight this ticket?" And I lied and said yes.
It's
friggin' Cleveland.
You got a lot of pride.
Get the ticket go, and I paid the $35 court fine.
Jesus.
And I've never got the ticket. So and the whole time I never left my hotel room. I did my show. I went right back to my hotel. And I went back to the airport without stopping anywhere because I didn't want anybody to know I had did a show.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, man, if they found out that I had did a show, I was like, because Kroger's, that was a big convention. Somebody worked at the court knew, we saw this comedian.
Oh, God. I don't want you going back to Cleveland.
So I haven't been back to Ohio.
I think I'd be disappointed if they don't hand me some of that Skyline chili they all talk about in Ohio.
Yeah.
What do you think about that, Josh? You think you could get through a bucket of Skyline chili?
Hey, it looks pretty good.
It does look good.
I mean, I've heard good things.
Yeah.
You're saying yuck, Dane. Have you had it, or you don't think it looks good?
I've been in its presence, and it grosses me out.
Just from being in its presence?
Yeah.
I have been in the same room with Skyline chili.
I was near it. I shook a hand with a guy who ate it.
Yeah. That's an interesting reason to... people getting off planes in Hawaii immediately get a lei. If the same tradition applied to the rest of the United States, what would each state immediately give to its visitors?
The 93X Half-Assed Morning Show.
Go ahead. Make my day.
On 93X.
Oh, we got C Willi Myles in studio. We're ready to wrap things up. You got to get out of town here tomorrow.
Yeah.
I just let you know that off air.
Josh just reminded me. I said, yeah, I'm heading out to North Dakota on Wednesday. He goes, like, tomorrow morning? I'm like, yeah. I thought I said it like it was like a couple of days away. I was like,
well, you travel so damn much.
That's the honest to God truth.
Yeah.
And I do, and I lose track of days.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I knew when I got home, that would be something on the table. My wife will leave me, let me know.
Does she remind you what the hell you're supposed to do?
Sometimes she does.
C Willi Myles leaving town tomorrow. You're heading up to, and this kind of plays into the conversation we were having a minute ago.
Nordak.
You're going to Crosby and Stanley, North Dakota. And earlier on, you described that as no man's land. Once you get west of Fargo,
You get that. And that's north and west
of Fargo.
Yes.
Okay.
It's like way up north.
Now, a listener texted in. This is Wisco Bald Man Jesus. He knows something or another about that neighborhood. He says, C. Willie's going to Crosby and Stanley, North Dakota for a comedy show. I've been there. Get in and get out, he says, before it gets really cold.
Absolutely, man.
Okay, and you're hitting it the next few days. You'll get out of there before they hit 35, 40 below zero.
Yeah, I won't go there then. No.
How much money would it take for you to do a show?
There isn't no
There
money.
is no, okay.
Because you may not get out. And then what's that money going to do you?
That's right. What's that money going to do you when you're frozen to death and stuck in North Dakota? Exactly. All right, conversation we were having, it's a cute one from that godless Reddit website. People getting off planes in Hawaii immediately get a lei, like the flowery thing around your neck. If that same tradition applied to the rest of the United States, what would each state immediately give to its visitors? We covered the 5-state area: Minnesota, North Dakota, South Dakota, Wisco, and those filthy Iowegians. Here are some other comments on Reddit on what other U.S. states would immediately give you once you hopped off that airplane. Florida. Boy, the options are numerous here.
Yeah, where do you start?
As far as the cliches and the stereotypes about friggin' Florida. But Reddit decided they should hand you a baby gator.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yes.
Baby gator.
Some meth rocks.
Yeah.
Yep.
Meth would be a good one. Straight jacket.
And a straight jacket. I like that one.
And some teeth.
Are they lacking chiclets down there?
Yes, sir.
Welcome to Colorado, this here says. Here's a joint and your IPA.
Perfect. Perfect for them. Maybe some hiking shoes, too. They do a lot of hiking down there.
Oh, they love to be active in Colorado.
You know,
oxygen mask.
It's funny you say that, Ashley, because my wife recently went to Colorado, and that's one of the things that they did was go hiking. Right. And I guess that was like on the list.
What a silly, silly activity.
Garden of the Gods down there.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
So you've heard of that too?
Yes, I've hiked to the Garden of the Gods, and it's funny that you say, C. Willie, you said an oxygen mask.
Yeah.
Because I got altitude sickness from hiking. I could have really used that.
I had never heard of it, but she sent me pictures. It was packed with people hiking up this big thing.
Of course, the marijuana thing is the cliche go-to joke always for Colorado. I was there coming up on a year ago. I went there last year for Christmas to see my friggin' wife's folks. And I'd never been to one of those marijuana shops, whatever the proper term is. What do they call it?
Dispensaries?
Dispensary. I'd never been there. But some people that I was hanging out with wanted to go get some type of dope. So maybe you had to be there, and I know I told you this once before, but we walked into the joint. The dude at the front desk was also perfect in my opinion. The dude at the front desk, of course, massive beard, looked like he was going to be competing in a national hacky sack contest later on that day. All the tie-dye, just all the he was reclined. His feet were up on the counter of the marijuana shop. He was reclined so far back, he was almost laying completely flat on his back. Not sitting at attention, like a front desk person might want to do to make customers feel welcome.
Right.
Completely sprawled back. We walk in, we don't say a word, and he says this. Yeah?
He wanted you to be comfortable.
As if we were walking into his bedroom or something. What do you mean, yeah? I said, we want to see some dope.
There's certain establishments that have that type of reputation.
Yeah, pull your head out of your ass. What do you think we're doing here?
I've walked into places where it seemed like you were inconveniencing them.
Yeah, he says. All right. What else are they going to give you when they get off the airplane? At these, when you get off the airplane at these different states. New York's kind of funny, I guess. Never been there. Never been to New York. New York City, never been. Me, never saw it.
Nope.
New York, it says a complimentary bagel.
And a rat.
Pizza rat.
An I Love New York shirt.
A complimentary bagel with a $14.99 service fee that you won't know about until it's time to board the plane back home, at which point you'll be treated like a criminal because you didn't pay it and you owe an extra $9.99 in late fees.
Subway rat.
That Subway rat became an internet sensation.
I love that guy.
He had a piece of pizza in his yap, and he was the size of a house.
He was so
I
cute.
think there is a bagel rat now. There's a new one.
A bagel rat?
Yeah.
Nice. One of my friends went to New York not too long ago, and she said she was disappointed because she didn't see any rats.
I know.
Jeez.
C Willi Myles, you get a kick out of this one. When you get off the airplane in Tennessee, they hand you Dolly Parton's greatest hits and a coffee table book about when the University of Tennessee's football team beat Alabama in football from 4 years ago.
Oh, yeah. And a single-digit IQ.
Louisiana, of course, Mardi Gras beads around your neck. What else in Louisiana? Now, because you're from the South, you've been to Louisiana many times.
Yep.
I've been there many times. I would add, okay, fine, Mardi Gras beads, we get it. That's the cliche joke. But I would add the title to a broken-down motor vehicle. I have never in my life seen so many abandoned, broken-down vehicles than when I was driving around Louisiana.
Yeah, especially if you're around Baton Rouge.
Baton Rouge. In Utah, they give you a wife.
Yep, they do that over there.
Maybe the Book of Mormon.
A couple.
The Book of Mormon.
Yep. Oh, my gosh, yeah.
In Michigan, they say once you get off the airplane, they give you the clap.
Is that a big issue there, apparently?
Oh.
I don't know. I got to take these folks' word for it.
It became one once your mom went there.
Oh, my God.
I didn't mean that.
That's an awesome way to close the show.
I didn't mean that.
That's a perfect way to close the show.
I'm sorry, Mrs. Wessel.
Josh with the finishing move to end the show. I love it.
See, Willie, well, just so you know, you got to get on a plane tomorrow. Don't forget, you're going to North Dakota.
Yep.
We had to remind you.
Appreciate you.
We got a bunch of texts wondering when are you going to be playing locally next?
It's going to be a while, man. I got this. So now I'm going into, these are my last public shows, and then after that I go into corporate holiday parties. So I got a couple of big group of holiday parties. Then I'm going to Arizona in February for some public shows, and then I'll be on tour in March. I'll be gone all of March, but I won't be around here.
You're going to pull a Janelle Klein on us. We're not going to see you for a while.
It's going to be a minute. So, yeah, I mean, I'll be around here just up until almost Christmas, and then after that, and it's going to be sketchy. But in April is the only time when I'll actually be back in Minnesota to do a public show, and then I'll be back at Crooners. Actually, in April.
Okay.
If we don't see you, we're going to miss you badly.
Yeah. Well, I'll be around.
Come back before Christmas.
Oh yeah. I'll get in here.
Bring us some gifts.
Like this is that time of year where I just have a lot of corporate parties and stuff like that.
Will you bring me a souvenir from Stanley, North Dakota?
I'll see what I can find.
Go shopping around.
Yeah,
they got to have a mall.
Get you one of those. What used to be famous back in the day? Get you a refrigerator magnet.
Yeah. I would love that.
I was in Stanley.
I would love that. Well, we appreciate it, all your time. We always have a good time with you.
I always love coming in and chatting with you guys, man.
Yes.
It's always great. You guys are a hell of a crew.
Good to see you. Happy birthday to NSP Public Works. Jesus turning 36 today from the wife. Happy birthday to Brianna from Dad. Metal hand finishing Jesus. And Godspeed to everyone today. Godspeed.
The 93X Half-Ass Morning Show. 93.
The 93X Half-Ass Morning Show podcast is sponsored by Standard Heating and Air Conditioning. New episodes drop each weekday. If your podcast platform has ratings, go ahead and give us 5 stars and maybe give our enemies 1. Thanks, and here's a word from our sponsor.
Winter's arrived, and with the holidays around the corner, it's the perfect time for Standard Heating's Black Friday Comfort Countdown specials. And right now is the time to become a Smart Club member and get your furnace in top shape before winter comes. Visit standardheating.com today. Comfort you deserve since 1930.